Nestled in vast, picturesque country New South Wales, right next to the big town of Bathurst, to many motorsport fans, Mount Panorama needs no introduction. It is the Australian racetrack, the place where people plan pilgrimages, the Southern Hemisphere's answer to Spa, Suzuka, and the Nürburgring, all in one insane piece of road. It is fast, it follows the terrain, and walls are close at all times. Only the best triumph here, both in real life and in sim racing. Mount Panorama is subject to more waxing lyrical and commentary cliches than any other track in Australia, but suffice to say that that is not without very good reason. Like many of the tracks we visit for the V8 Supercar Online Premiere Series, Bathurst's history of motorsport goes much further back than is immediately apparent. There has been motor racing activity in the area surrounding Bathurst since the start of the 20th century. The first circuit used in the region was the Peel Circuit in 1906, connecting the towns of Peel, Clear Creek and Kelso. The second was the Yetholm Circuit, a triangular loop around the localities of Kirkconnell, Meadow Flat and Sunny Corner. This track entered use in 1914 as the host of the first Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix. The third was the Mount Horrible or Sunny Corner Circuit in 1926, which combined parts of the former tracks and extended all the way up to Palmer's Oakey to create a massive 100-kilometre loop. And finally, from 1931 to 1937, racing was held on the Vale Circuit, a track shooting through paddocks right next to the future site of Mount Panorama. Bathurst as we know it had its beginnings in the Vale Circuit period. The Mayor of Bathurst, Martin Griffin, wanted to create a permanent home for motor racing in the region, to construct the greatest circuit in the world. Unfortunately, Griffin had the problem of the world being in the midst of the Great Depression. The Australian government was not willing to commit funds to something like a motor racing circuit, so Griffin hatched another plan. He and the Bathurst Council approached the government with plans for an employment relief scheme, a tourist drive going up and down the Bald Hills. The economic benefits seemed obvious and this plan got greenlit. But as the new Mount Panorama Scenic Drive was constructed, it was noted that it would make a very good motor racing circuit. How very convenient, Mr. Griffin. Well played. Mount Panorama Circuit hosted its first race in 1938 for motorcycles, and from then on, the track's fame only grew. After World War II, the circuit became the most popular motor racing venue in Australia. In 1963, it poached the Armstrong 500-mile race from Phillip Island, which, come 1973, was extended to 1,000 kilometres. As the Bathurst 1000 was born, the legend continued to build, and many of the most famous moments in Australian motorsport history took place here. It was also at Bathurst that Australia's Ford versus Holden rivalry was truly established, as regulations and series evolved with the track. The 1987 Bathurst 1000 was selected as a round of that year's World Touring Car Championship, but changes had to be made to comply with the FIA's new rulings, which stated that they would not sanction races at circuits with straights longer than 2 kilometres. The Chase was constructed in response, but that remains the only layout change made to the circuit. Apart from this challenging diversion off Conrod Straight, Mount Panorama follows exactly the same route as it did when it opened. The history of this venue up to the present is so rich and storied that we would need the 6 hours it takes to run a Bathurst 1000 just to cover everything. Moffat, Brock, Bow, Richards, Johnson, Scaife, Lowndes, Whincup, Winterbottom, the list goes on. Suffice to say that Australian motorsport and world motorsport would not be the way it is without the presence of this venue. This track, this race, is one of the greatest spectacles and tests of skill and endurance that the motorsport world has to offer, real or virtual. And now, you get to watch 100 of Australian sim racing's best tackle it. Welcome one and all to V8's Online's live broadcast once again of the 2017 V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. This is it, the big one. It's Saturday night on Bathurst 1000 weekend here for the second round of the Hyperstimulator Endurance Cup. My name is Reese Gardner, and joining me in the commentary box is Jay Kennedy. Jay, it's Bathurst time. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, mate. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in and joining us here at V8 Online. It's the big one. It's the one we wait for all year. We've been waiting since September or October last year. First weekend of October last year. 2nd of October was race day, so we're a week earlier this year, which has meant that big names that missed out on the race last year are actually able to race. We've got Madison Down, we've got Jake Burt, we've got Josh Rogers, we've got Wayne Burke. Those guys couldn't race due to real life other commitments last year. So we've got an absolute stacked field this year and really looking forward to it. Should be absolutely fantastic.
Yep, this is one of the best fields in V8 Supercar Online Premier Series Bathurst 1000s in history. So really looking forward to this. We're coming up to the end of practice right now, and we'll be getting ready to go through the qualifying session and then the top 15 shootout. It's going to be an excellent night of action, so we can see just how fast all of these top Australian sim racers can go around the virtual version of Mount Panorama.
It's going to be absolutely awesome to watch these guys and girls go at it, because we've got 100 drivers who will compete this weekend. We had 77 teams attempt qualifying, which equates to 154 drivers try to make this race. 100 have made it, and we are going to have an absolutely amazing weekend of broadcasting and racing. Of course, tomorrow we'll be live from 11:30 a.m. We've got EMR Super Cup, and then the race from lap 1 right through to lap 161 here on V8's Online, here on our YouTube channel. Also, we'll have it on the V8SCOPS Facebook page as well as the iRacing Facebook page. So we'll be absolutely massive this weekend.
It certainly will, and this has all of that V8 Supercar Online Premier Series flair as well. We got live marshalling, we got safety cars, we got the no escape rule in qualifying. It's got everything that you need to make a fantastic true to real life experience here in the iRacing simulator. So I mean, what else can you say, Jay? We got just under a minute left until practice is over, and then everybody's going to go out for qualifying.
Yep, and there's been a little bit of conjecture out in the paddock, the virtual paddock, around whether Josh Rogers has been too quick and other drivers have been what known as sandbagging. And right then, just with the last moments of practice, Jared Filsell's just gone to the top of the timesheets. Of course, last weekend at this time, we didn't know that he was going to be driverless, with Josh Muggleton having a last-minute trip to New Zealand, and his teammate in Sean Kelly's jumped into that car. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how they go. As we get ready for qualifying, we'll go through some of the livery changes as well, with a lot of teams running throwback, retro-style liveries, but it's time to go. It's qualifying.
It certainly is, and everybody is going to file straight out of that pit exit onto Mountain Straight. Look, just about everyone. Whoa, that is such a cool sight. All those cars going out of their pit bays at once, jostling for position at pit exit. And out they go onto Mountain Straight. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Absolutely crazy. The no escape rule is now in effect, so if you're tuning into V8SCOPS for the first time, we should point out that there is a no escape rule in qualifying. So once you've done your qualifying lap, you have to complete a lap back to the pits. You can't just pull off an escape like you usually can in sim racing. That's an enforced rule to try and make this as close to a real-life experience as possible. So you are going to see drivers go back to the pits. They're going to have to go all the way around this 6.2-kilometer mountainous circuit one more time to try and get back to the pits and go out again for one more lap. And wow, with the amount of traffic out there now, it's going to be difficult to find a space and get a good lap in first time round.
Yeah, first time round is going to be really tough. We're seeing Josh Rogers. He's the first in the line. He wanted to get into the server first to get this first lap in. Right behind is Emily Jones in the 68. She'll team up with Stephen Sandman Clark for this one. And behind there is the number 017, different look for Brian Borg's laser racing car. Throwback to the Dick Johnson Racing cars from the mid-2000s, 2005. But Rogers coming down Conrod Straight, and he will probably come up to traffic as he comes back around to Conrod next time.
Yeah, he certainly will, and Rogers absolutely putting the hammer down. Since the last couple of patches of iRacing, this car has become a lot more realistic to drive, some people have been saying. And of course, when I was doing the installation laps for my fact file video, I noticed that the car was very good to drive, so these guys are going to be very comfortable out there.
Did you just say that the V8
track.
supercar was very good to drive?
Yes,
Reece,
I know. I surprised myself. Well, to be fair, I haven't eaten a piece of fruit in 1.5 weeks, so I don't know.
You are unwell.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Josh Rogers has just started his first qualifying lap. Let's focus on this.
You've absolutely thrown me, because you actually said the V8 supercar was good to drive, but I'd never thought I'd hear those words out of you. For the 6 years I've known you, you've never said that. But Josh Rogers coming down Mountain Straight, he will punch in a very quick lap time. We'll see times in the low 204s in this qualifying session. And by the end of qualifying, we will start to see the field really mixed up as we watch the battle for the top 15 shootout, which comes up after this 1 hour qualifying session later tonight.
And just have a look at how much rubber has been laid down onto the circuit already in the 40 minutes that the drivers have been doing laps out there. There's a thick black line all the way across the top of the mountain. That's where all the grip is. That's where all the drivers are going to want to go. Josh Rogers going all over the curbs around the top of the mountain. I'm surprised that he didn't... might he have gotten a 0x? I have no idea.
Very close to the wall coming through McPhillamy as we start the descent down Mount Panorama up to through the S's and down through the Dipper. Change gears and then back down through the gears at Forest Elbow, trying to make sure we get a great exit here and on the throttle nice and early.
Yep, Josh Rogers taking Forest Elbow in first gear there. Try and get maximum drive out of that corner and onto this very long Conrod Straight. In real life, the cars have reached almost 300 kilometers an hour down this section of straight. Rogers is already approaching 287 kilometers an hour, his top speed as he brakes for the chase, just kisses the curb, and then out onto the rest of Conrod Straight once again. So it looks like this has been a good lap from Josh Rogers. We will see what kind of time he sets as he crosses the line. The first qualifying lap time for the 1000, a 2:03.9.
Wow.
How's that for a statement?
Great first lap. I've just had the overlay software crash on me right on cue, which is always fun.
Excellent. Well, the times are filing in. The next car behind Rogers is 7/10 behind. That's the 57 All-Star Motorsports entry with Dane Warren in the wheel, at the wheel. I can English good tonight, Jay.
All right, it's only early. You'll be
Certainly
fine.
is.
By the end of it, you might actually be able to get a word out.
Yeah, that would be good.
Jared Philsell to the top.
2:03.8. Goodness me, 2:03.8 from the Harrop Racing TTR number 94 car. So Rogers already beaten to the top. So we've got two cars in the 2:03s, and then, well, no one has set a time in the low 2:04s yet. It's a 2:04.6 the next time back. That's pretty hardcore, but times are continuing to file in. Riley Blythe and the Evolution Racing team entries just gone to 8th place.
Watching Kyle James come through Murray's corner to complete his lap.
Yep, Carl James for SDC Motorsports, and looks like it hasn't registered a time.
A little bit unfortunate for him, so he goes back, has another crack, possibly was an out lap. So it's Philsell, Rogers, Warren, Al Nabi, Griggle, Maloney, McMillan, Warren, Blythe and Blacklock. So PTR, TTL, All-Star, Performance, Sim Sports and Evolution Racing Team, the top five different teams. First, second, third, fourth and fifth.
Yep, very competitive up the top there.
Question in the chat. We do have live timing available on our website, v8sonline.com. facebook.com/live-timing.
Yep, so if you want another angle on the action, be sure to visit that address.
Sean, so Jared Filsell, just watching him limp down the mountain, he has massive damage on that car. The entire right-hand side of that car is destroyed.
I think I saw him go wide at Forest Elbow a few moments ago. Yeah, he's lost it under brakes through the right-hander coming up to the elbow and just smacked into the wall. So that'll be a trip back to the pit for Filsell, and he'll go out and try and start another.
Lucky for him that the car was able to get going again, because if he couldn't get that car back to the pits, can't reset, he's done. They're lucky. We've seen the no escape rule play havoc to drivers in the past, and we get the cutoff on screen now. So the top 5 will stay on screen for our live timing, or on screen timing, and then we will have the rest of the field from 11th to 20th on screen. So we go to the car in 14th position, the 88 Bretton Hobson. One of the coolest looking throwback liveries that we've got in the field. Absolutely love this livery. So well done to the guys at Synergy Sim Racing for their amazing work with their throwback liveries.
Yeah, pretty excellent work from Synergy Sim Racing with that. There's some really awesome liveries out there that I'm absolutely hyped to see race.
Another different look on the car just ahead is the Torque Inc. number 40. It's a car a paint job that's very, very dear to my heart. It's my first ever livery I drove for the Torque Inc. team. It was the first ever livery for the Torque Inc. team back when we used to drive on the Falcons. And the logos are the original Torque Inc. logos on it. So pretty cool throwback, which a few teams have done throwback to their own history as well. So another one of those teams that has thrown back to their own history, Lee Alice in the 18. It's a throwback to the original TTR colours way back when on R Factor.
Yeah, I think that's around, what, 2009, 2010?
I believe you are right in that.
Very, very long time ago.
How interesting, the teammate of that car, the sister car, the number 1, which is also a familiar livery to us here in V8 Line. That's the first livery of that car from 2012, I'm fairly sure. Used to have Hyper Stimulator on the side of that car back in the day with the red, yellow and black. So looks pretty good with the Momo liveries on it now, the Momo logos on it. So cool throwback for those guys.
Yeah, surely does. And having a look at the number 400 car, the TTL entry, Joe Burkett is at the wheel of that car. They're running real-life emulation livery, the Team Kiwi Racing one.
Yep, 2006, I'm fairly sure, that Paul Radicic drove. I'll be hoping they go a bit better than Radicic did back in the day.
Yeah, certainly. Well, they're in the top 20. They're definitely going about it the right way.
Burkett's on an out lap at the moment, so we won't focus on him quite yet.
Yep. Just having a look through the field. Another cool livery is what Race on Oz have got running right now. Tyler Blackburn in car 91. Yeah. Awesome Tickford livery.
Inspired by the Russell Ingall Caltex livery from the Stone Brothers day. Of course, it was number 9 back in those days.
Yes, indeed. So that's a 208.125 there from Blackburn. Doesn't look like it's an improvement on his time, but hey, I'm a Holden guy through and through, but I know a good looking Ford when I see one.
I didn't realise they existed. Jeez, I'm going to get flamed for that, aren't I? I'm asking for trouble. We'll go to Glenn Postlethwaite, another throwback livery, the 95. Throwback to the Russell Ingall and Larry Perkins car that famously went from last to first after lap 1. Driver the 95.
Yes, indeed. And Postlethwaite coming up through the cutting here, just behind Guy Leach in the Sky VR46 racing entry. We haven't seen these guys in this field before. They are a one-off for the Bathurst 1000. Usually seen them competing in GT racing. They made the jump to touring cars for this very special occasion.
They actually did all right in their Bathurst 1000 last year, did Mansell and Leachy, so good to see them back out there having another crack. They drove together last year and finished inside the top 20. I think finishing a Bathurst 1000 is a pretty good effort. To get in the top 20 is very, very good.
Yeah, certainly is. There's so much around this track that can really screw you over, and if you can avoid all of that, get to the finish in one piece, well, that is an achievement in and of itself. And up at the chase, we got a bit of drama. Tommy Harradine for West End Mazda, no engine sound, so he might have run out of fuel or blown an engine. He's going to have to make his way back to the pits in a pretty precarious position.
Tell you who's a little bit of a tough situation at the moment is Postlethwaite. He got a great run coming down the chase, and he's right on the tail of Guy Leach, so that both of these guys here will have a bit of trouble just seeing Harrigan might actually make it in the pits. Of course, another rule in this series is you're unable to push another driver, so no improvement in time there for Postlethwaite. And Leach just ahead. He improved on that lap.
He was a 10th behind on that lap from his best. 2:06.2 for Leachy. Go
to the Evolution Racing Team entry on screen, number 15. They've just put in their flying lap. Last lap 2:05.1, but their best lap 2:04.7. These guys will feature at the end of the race come Sunday for sure. Ethan Grigalt and Ian Ford.
Yeah, they certainly will. They were a force to be reckoned with at Phillip Island. They showed that ERT are going to take the fight to the very top of the field in this Endurance Cup. And at this race of races, the Bathurst 1000, well, to triumph here would be a true crowning achievement for these guys. They've been very strong all season as well.
We go to Joe Burkett in the 400. He's on a flying lap at the moment. Currently back in 17th. He's trying to gain only 6/100ths of a second to get himself into the shootout. Bretton Hobson currently 15th. He's just on the fringe at the moment. We saw at Phillip Island how much that 15th cutoff time changed and fluctuated by the end of qualifying.
Yeah, we did, and yeah, you're not wrong about the cutoff. There's only 300ths of a second between 15th and 16th, and Burkett, well, he's really pushing there right now, soaring away at the wheel.
Actually going to come into the pits.
Yes.
Lap done.
So he's going to go back out and have another run afterwards. This qualifying session is already almost a quarter done.
Amazing to think that already, that we're already quarter of the way through this qualifying session. Another group of throwback liveries as well as the Performance Sim Sports guys. The 027 I know has a throwback livery on. I'm just trying to get... Oh, hang on. We've got the 207 on screen. Gary Cooper at the wheel. Running a Pertec inspired livery.
Yeah, very nice.
Car doesn't look too good though. It's the Ford Focus model, not the Ford Falcon.
Yes, apparently Gary Cooper has had a little bit of an issue with the rear end over the top of the hill.
Driver that we'll see move up the field a little bit is this one on screen in the 696. Got Sikowski on screen at the moment. Just ahead is teammate in Ethan Warren in the 313. So those guys at the moment, well, Ethan's doing okay. He's in 8th at the moment, but just behind 696 is Sikowski, trying to move his way up the timesheets. They're on an outlap at the moment. And it looks like they're working together to get themselves a little bit of toe, to get a little bit of extra speed.
Yep, Bathurst is one of those tracks where the draft is worth quite a bit due to that super long straight. They've got 2 super long straights to deal with here.
Michael Taljancic on screen in the 777. They are livery inspired by the Super Cheap Auto livery from back in the day that Russell Ingall used to drive. His first year at Walkinshaw Racing back then. Just seeing the car of Not sure who that was off on the side of the track there.
Tommy Harradine.
Yep. Oh, there's
Yeah,
a
he's
car
not-
just off the track. It's an orange car. That may be Brady Myers. No? Trying to think of orange cars in the field, and I'm not having any luck.
Amstead?
Amstead?
No, it's Blake Neck, Evolution Racing Team number 227.
Yep.
He's going super slow up to Reed and Silman.
Yep. Got a lot of damage on the front of that car. I believe he slammed the wall at Griffin's Bend. Try and get a cut price racing replay. Classic.
Blake.
Hit the curb and shoot it into the inside wall. Big power slide trying to get out of the corner, and car doesn't look too good. He may just have enough to get it back to the pits.
Well, he's doing well to keep it at a reasonable pace coming down through the S's.
As I said, there's 50 cars that can qualify or try and improve their times coming up for the race on the weekend, but 47 cars have arrived to try and do that. So 47 cars on track. Not that easy.
Nope. Tommy Harradine he's got going again after sitting still for quite some time. Looks like he's got some incredibly heavy damage on that car.
Yeah, it doesn't
Harradine
look
not
too
having a very good qualifying session at all.
Back in 42nd position. So they got a lot of trouble on their hands with that car.
I'm just going to rewind and see what on earth happened to him being stopped there.
While you do that, I'll go to Richard Hampstead, about to start a flying lap. No, he's pulling into the pits, he's getting out of it. Ian Ford has just started a flying lap. He's currently in P5. We'll watch Ford, big slide, same as the last car that we saw from the Evolution Racing Team camp, really sideways, coming through Griffin's Bend, up through the cutting, looking nice and smooth there.
Yeah, it looks like Tommy Harradine just had an off out of the first turn, so he's still on Mountain Straight. He's just before Griffin's Bend. Looks like he's really struggling to get that car back to the pits.
Got some sort of issue there for sure. But Ian Ford at the wheel of this car at the moment. He's teaming up, as we said, with Ethan Griggold. These guys will be very, very close to the front, if not right there for the win this weekend. Pretty tidy through the middle sector, did Ford. See if he can gain some speed down Conrod Straight. First sector a little bit off the pace from what we saw from Hampstead and Phil Sale.
Yep, and it's looking to me as though the 012 car is now out of the qualifying session because Harradine's escaped back to the pits.
Yep, so they're out of qualifying, so they will finish with their time registered of a 207.4.
Right, Ian Ford, really throwing it into Murray's corner. He's going to cross the line to a 204.889.
That's not far off their best lap, only a tenth off for Ian Ford.
15th place cutoff is still a 205.318. Brenton Hobson in Synergy Sim Racing 1 in the box seat. He's just coming down Conrod Straight, and, well, he's got quite a few drivers snapping at his heels.
Sure does. We'll go to the driver in 16th position, though. The 95 of Glenn Postlethwaite. Teammate, of course, of Brenton Hobson. They've done a great job with their entire package this weekend in regards to liveries and performance as well. They've got a great bunch of guys who have qualified the cars into the qualifying run for this race, and also the race proper coming up tomorrow. As we said, we'll have it all live from start to finish. Postlethwaite down Conrod Straight. This lap, actually, looking at the sector times, isn't too bad. 47.2 for the first sector and 30.4. The track is definitely getting slower, so I'm going to guess this lap, as it stands right now, is around about a 205.2. That will put him into 15th position.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see what he can do down at the chase. Going all over the curves. Big power slide out of the chase, and he's going into the pits.
We're going to see a fair bit of this in the next little bit. Guys just deciding they're not going to get any improvement. They'll come straight in the pits and go again. Seen Richard Hampstead finish a lap. What will this do? At the start of qualifying lap. Let's watch a lap from Hampstead in P2.
Yep. Oh.
These guys will want to try and get that one spot away from Jared Filsell because they'll want that last run at it in the shootout.
They certainly will. And Richard Hampstead really pushing. He was working the wheel super hard coming onto Mountain Straight, but now he's got it nice and smooth coming out of Griffins. Ride the curb nicely. Just easing on the brakes coming into the cutting. Take advantage of the camber in the road.
Interesting to note that this car is the only car in the top 7 at the moment out on track. First sector of 46.9. It's not too bad. Around about 3/10 off what we saw his teammate in Josh Rogers and also Jared Filsell doing. It looks like he thought he might have been out of the throttle there, but definitely not. Just hearing a crash just up ahead too, so you're going to have to be very careful coming down the mountain. A slow car. There's the 099.
Yep, Matthew Clote in that car for Pro Force Racing GTI. But Hampstead has gotten past him without incident, and now he's out onto Conrod. And the question is he happy with this one?
Around about 4/10 off across the top of the mountain from what we saw Filsell and Rogers do. Come into the chase. Most amazing corner of this circuit. Flat at 285 k's is amazing. He'll come into the pits and got another one done.
Very true, and it looks like Daniel Poulton and Matt Morris just ahead of them are going in as well. And Morris, goodness me, that car is almost going sideways going forward. A lot of damage on that number 55 car.
Go to the 017 Laser Racing car, currently 19th position. Brian Borg at the wheel. They need not too much. I think, what is it? 2.5 tenths to make the shootout, which would be an absolutely fantastic achievement for these guys.
Yeah, it definitely would, but around a track like Bathurst, you'd think, oh, you know, it's a long track, it's easy to find time, but it certainly isn't. See what Brian Ball can do here. It's going to be a 2:05.824, so no improvement from him. It's incredibly difficult to gain time around a track like this, but losing time, you almost do it without even thinking.
I'm good at that. I'm good at losing time. I'm no good at finding it.
I think I could say the same for myself, Jay.
You can do a bit better than me, mate. We'll go to Jordan Ross, currently 14th position. Best lap at the moment, 2:05.3. Doesn't need too much to try and consolidate this position because we've got 1.5 tenths separating 14th to 18th. That's the danger zone. If you can get out of that 14th position, you'll feel a lot better in regards to where he will start this race.
Yeah, it looks like he's keeping it nice and tidy up the top of the mountain, but really going across the curb at McPhillamy.
That was very close to the wall.
Yeah, he almost put his whole car on the curb at McPhillamy there. You don't usually see people doing that, and look who he's got coming up behind him, Glenn Postlethwaite. It looks like he's catching.
Yeah, Postlethwaite, he'll be on an out lap, so he'll be using this advantage the next time around of Jordan Ross. Just to excite you a little bit more, Reese, we're only 17 hours away from the race start. How exciting is that?
That is very exciting. 161 laps, 6 and a bit hours. Looks like Jordan Ross has abandoned his qualifying lap. He's going to let Postlethwaite by. And now, well, Aussie doesn't have anything to draft on his hot lap now.
No. Just ahead, starting the flying lap. We actually can have a proper look at this livery now. The number 18 Autotech TTR car. Michael Healy at the wheel at the moment. jumped in to punch out this qualifying run from his teammate Lee Ellis. Those guys will be a pretty strong pairing come the end of the day tomorrow. Very, very consistent pair.
Yeah, they are, and you know, there's something about those sim racing liveries from about 2010 or thereabouts. Everyone was just finding their feet, just figuring out how to paint cars, and you had stuff coming out like this that, you know, it is retro in its own way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool look. I'm actually enjoying the throwback to the teams themselves, as opposed to, I'm not saying I'm not loving the retro liveries or the throwback liveries of the other teams, but something about the TTR cars and the Torque car, the throwback to their own cars, is pretty cool.
It certainly is, and I think that shows above all else that sim racing is starting to get its own history.
As for sure, this is our 4th Bathurst 1000. When we go through tomorrow, we'll actually have detailed results and best results and starts of the Bathurst 1000 race that we've held. As we said, our 4th one. Now, it's amazing to think and see names from the past that we've had that we don't see around in sim racing anymore, or in iRacing, or in the V8 supercar anymore. To think, wow, that person used to race with us and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool when we go through that tomorrow. It'll be pretty cool nostalgia. Bit of nostalgia, I should say.
Yeah, 100%, Jay. Well, Michael Healy is coming through the chase now, using all of that apron on the entry. Such an intriguing corner. I love how everybody just throws it in these cars.
Such a fun corner. When you get it right, it just feels amazing. That this lap must be some sort of an improvement, because Healy's continuing on through Murray's corner, crosses the line. It's 2:06, so it's not an improvement. So
yeah, it certainly is.
Full second off, a second and a half off the best lap for that team. Go to Postlethwaite, and actually Postlethwaite's in the pits.
Yeah, and we're coming up to halfway through the session now, so this is the period where everybody's just getting out there, trying to do the best they can. The opening frenzy of lap time setting is now over. Now all of the teams will be leaning back, and reconsidering how they go about this. Brenton Hobson's still out there, though.
Yep, Hobson's still going, and car on screen, Dean O'Brien, another throwback livery, the old Wins Commodore from back in the day. They've changed all the logos, and this is actually his outlap, and he's clouded the wall there, so that's not a good start. But Dean O'Brien teaming up with Wayne Burke. These guys will be right up pushing for a top 5 come Sunday Arvo if they can keep it out of trouble. Pretty cool looking car as well. I love the use of the old school logos with the new design on that one.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love it when teams take their modern sponsors and sort of retool the logos a bit to fit in with a retro livery.
Yep.
It's always awesome when the sponsor allows you to do that. Of course, due to certain agreements, they don't always allow it, but hey, obviously, Synergy Sim Racing sponsors must really appreciate the value of putting a retro livery together, so, hey, looks like an awesome car.
Yeah, it does. We've just clocked past the halfway point. So, as it stands right now, the top 10 shootout will consist of TTL, TTR, All-Star, Performance Sim Sports, Evolution Racing Team, TTL, All-Star, All-Star, TTR, ERT, TTR, Synergy Sim Racing, Progression Racing Australia, then Synergy and Synergy. So a good mix of teams in amongst that top 15. But the top 5 different teams, which is pretty cool.
It definitely is, and as I said at the start, it just shows how intense the competition is here. Remember, there were, God, how many set pre-qualifying laps?
Yeah, 77 teams. I didn't actually calculate the number of laps this time. It was too scary after looking at Phillip Island to see how many laps were completed. So I did hear a little birdie tell me from one team that is in amongst that top 15 at the moment that they did 1,200 laps of practice before qualifying.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Goodness
I
me.
am serious.
That just goes to show you the lengths to which some of these
Whoa.
teams will go to try and get a competitive edge. Yeah, I just
Adam
saw
Highland
that, Jay.
facing the wrong direction, not at a good spot.
No.
And he's just
for
hit the
sure.
wall as he's trying to get the car facing the right direction. See if we can get a cut price racing replay and see what exactly happened to Adam Highland in the 557. Been parked there for quite a long time because I've gone back over a minute in replay. It's nearly 2 minutes he's been sitting there waiting for something to happen or someone to move.
What is going on there? Yeah, it looks like he was doing like a 1,000,000-point turn, trying to get the car back facing the right way. I think he might have a steering issue.
Yeah, I'm agreeing because the car wouldn't flick spin when he tried to do it twice. So,
And he's just been given permission to escape.
so he's done.
Yep, number 557. That 2057 will stand from them, and that'll be the only time they set.
And we're seeing a little bit of a lull in this qualifying session as it stands now, but we saw this at Phillip Island too. There was a real lull. Teams thought, nah, nothing more in it. We'll get out. The track cooled off, and then that last 5 minutes, it absolutely took off. So I'm predicting we'll see the same. We're starting to see teams decide we're done, but the track will cool off again, and it'll come back to a few teams that are in that 16 through to 25 position, and they'll work their way into the shootout.
Yeah, they will for sure. That's something that we got to look out for towards the end of the session. Looks like some of the big teams are back out. Richard Hampstead currently cutting some laps in the number 92 machine.
Yeah, Dane Warren and Ian Ford also out on track. Just 5 cars in the top 10 out on track. Brian Borg just coming through with some traffic. He's got his teammate in the number 100 in behind, which is car driven by Michael Hammond and Jason Benz. He actually pulls out of the way to try and give them a little bit of draft down Conrad Straight. So we'll see if this time can improve for Hammond.
Yep, Hammond in the very striking red Castrol livery Commodore this time around. It looks like he's going to stick with this. Borg peels left to go into the pits behind him. Oh, and Hammond ran a little bit wide, and Murray's... That would have cost him
bit. 3/10 off his best. I reckon that would have cost 3/10.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. So a little bit frustrating for Hammond down in 28th position, but we'll see what he can do in the last 25 minutes of the session.
By Leach on screen. Next.
Yep. But I've been having a think, Jay, as we take a look at the Sky VR 46 racing car in one of the most entertaining liveries I've ever seen, based, of course, on Valentino Rossi's helmet. Beautiful kaleidoscope of colours on that machine.
It's amazing, isn't it? I absolutely love this livery. Brian Leach has pretty much on every car he drives, he has this sort of look, and it's really cool, really colourful, and it just shows the fun that we should be having while we're sim racing, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But thinking back to what you were saying earlier about the amount of teams that pre-qualified, that means that 27 teams attempted a qualifying lap in pre-qualifying and weren't able to make it in as Guy Leach comes in. So if you extrapolate that, 27 teams, that's 52 drivers. That's
the real life V8 Supercar
Bathurst
1000 that we'll have this year, only 26 cars.
Yeah, and it's more than a regular field you see in V8SCOPS with about 40 cars. So it just goes to show you how attractive this event is. Of course, sim racing differs from real life racing, and then it's a hell of a lot cheaper. So
maybe
the only thing,
for some people.
Yeah. Well, in essence, the only thing that you really give up, not by choice, is time. So it's a good proposition for some of these people, take a weekend or, take a couple of days off work and have a run at a Bathurst 1000. Looks like Leach is back out onto the track now. Have a look at elsewhere in the field. Andrew Gilliam just crossing the start-finish line in PSS Chassis 5, sitting a 2:05.716 for his fastest time, but he's not quite able to get close to that on this run.
Dean O'Brien crossing the start-finish line. Looks like he's jumped in the car. Wayne Burke was in the car earlier, but there's been a driver swap there for those guys. So 2:05.2, their current best, still in 13th. We come up towards the point where teams will decide, no, we're not going anymore, and other teams will go, well, we've got to do something extravagant in regards to setup, or something bizarre, or something different to try and get things moving. We'll see a bit of change start to happen very soon, or the very near future.
Having a look across the top of the mountain, Jamie McKnight getting pressured quite a bit by Glenn Postlethwaite, who's just had to pull out.
It's noticing the 21 cars stopped on the side of the road up through the cutting. There's Zach Best at the wheel, driving with Harley Haber. They're back in 38th position.
Yes, and Jake Burton's just gotten going again after briefly departing the track to let the train of cars behind him by.
That car
in that
ninth.
number 1 car, yeah, just sitting in 9th place at the moment.
It's noticing a name that's dropped down the timesheets from what we saw at the start. He was inside the top 10. Now back in 14th position is Progression Racing Australia's Brady Myers. Set identical lap times to Dean O'Brien.
Yeah, that's pretty good from Brady. He's been up there or thereabouts, hasn't he, Brady Myers? As have Progression Racing Australia all throughout this season. They're definitely a team to watch for the future, I think.
Yeah, they're pretty much in the situation we saw All-Star Motorsport in this time last year. Up-and-coming team, a couple of really good drivers that are going to go somewhere one day, and they've turned into a powerhouse. Progression Racing Australia, I think, is the next team in that phase.
Yeah, they're doing pretty well, PRA, and it looks like Brady Myers is pretty happy with this lap as he comes out onto Conrod Straight. Looks like a good lap from him. He's only set one time in the session so far, and that was his 2:05.2 right at the start of the session. He's had many attempts since then, but has not completed a lap, so currently on his 10th attempt at a qualifying time. We'll see what Myers can do here. Oh, very unstable in the chase. Big bit of oversteer. I get the feeling he might bring it into the pits. Yes, he will.
Go to the car in 11th position. Sorry, Rex, we'll go to Kurt Stenberg next in the 47.
Yep, Kurt Stenberg driving with Sam Blacklock in this event. Sam has been the fastest driver in that team so far.
Stenny won't like us saying that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he won't. But the numbers don't lie. Sam Blacklock a 2:05.1, and I think Stenny is mainly out there for a bit of track time and just to see how fast the car can go.
Whoa! That was a big moment.
Tried a bit too hard there.
Got it a little bit unsettled coming up over the rise and pedal great into the fence. So lap done for Stenny. He'll bring it back into the pits.
Yep, Jake Burton's gone off in the S's again.
Back in the field, just coming through the chase. Got Glenn Postlethwaite. He's actually having a bit of a fight with Ethan Warren, and just in behind is the 00, Henry King at the wheel. So those three cars actually look like they're having a race run at the moment because they're battling like it's a race.
They do realise that the race is tomorrow, right?
I hope they do.
Unfortunately, these qualifying laps don't count towards the 1,000 kilometres. Looks like Postlethwaite
jump into the pits again, yep.
So that leaves Ethan and Henry out there.
I saw a time move up the timesheet just before, on the last lap. Mitchell McLeod in the number 40 Talking car. Can confirm he's very, very unhappy with the car performance at the moment. It's just made a setup change. He's gone to 19th. He was back in 32nd, now up to 19th. Expect him to move in this last 18 minutes.
Yep. Oh,
Whoa.
he's really pushing hard through the
That
latter
confirms the not happy with the setup bit there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if that registered as a 0x though. It was bloody close.
I'm fairly sure this is his in-lap anyway, so... he doesn't have... Well, he's got a fair bit of time to actually find to gain another spot in 16 hundredths of a second for the next position.
It looks like now Brenton Hobson moved up to 9th place in
Yeah, just noticed that too.
the last few minutes. So that leaves Jordan Ross in another Synergy
he's on the
Sim
bubble.
racing car. Yeah, he's on the edge at the moment.
This is what we were talking about with the track starting to come back to drivers. They're now starting to find something again in this last 15 minutes now. Noticing, or just watching on screen, the newest driver combination, All-Star Motorsports, 2 newest drivers joining forces, Jura Nakora and James Scott. Those guys now part of the All-Star Motorsports stable and have qualified for V8SCOPS Bathurst 1000, so great job to them, both debuting for All-Star Motorsport in V8SCOPS and racing in their first Bathurst 1000.
Yep, not doing too bad either. They're in the top 30, which is really good to see. Oh, it looks like someone else has jumped up into the top 15. Looks like the Myers car, number 22, is now on the bubble.
Yep, and Jordan Ross is currently out of the shootout. Michael Healy's the driver that's moved up into 12th position. So Lee Ellis, Michael Healy, they were sitting around the 18th, 19th position. They've jumped up, so the track is definitely starting to come back. And Jordan Ross straight away into a lap in the Pertec-inspired livery from early 2000s, Marcus Ambrose.
Yep, just avoiding Daniel Poulton in the Evolution Racing Team entry.
Last lap was a 2:05.4, best lap at 2:05.3. So drivers are definitely getting back to that groove that we saw half an hour, 40 minutes ago in this qualifying session.
Yep, and I'm wondering if this is an in-lap for Ross,
I'll be
because
guessing so, yeah.
yeah, not only did he set a time just then, but his drive out of the first corner was not exactly optimal. Meanwhile, Jake Burton in the number 1 car, who has just been passed by Ross on track. Just on the verge of the top 10 right now. And Burton's gotten very close to his fastest lap time on his last couple of attempts.
Seeing a car stopped. The RT car, I'm fairly sure.
Yep, Mark Pickett
Oh!
in that one.
Believe
yeah.
that's Emily Jones facing the wrong direction at the worst possible point on the track you can.
Oh dear, yeah, right on the exit of the dipper. That is really not a good position. Wondering if maybe she's contacting race control. No. She's just trying to get that thing facing the right way again. Looks like the number 68 car is moving in the right direction now, albeit with a front end that doesn't look quite as good as it did before.
Cut Price Racing replay on screen at the moment. Back in 22nd. Big moment coming down through the S's. Tried to hang on to it, but wasn't quite able to do so. Go back live. Go to the car in 8th, the 313. Ethan Warren at the wheel. Pretty strong driver pairing. 2 young up-and-coming drivers, and Daniel Williams and Ethan Warren.
Uh-oh. Looks like that'll be an off track at the exit of the chase, unfortunately, and
Yep.
Ethan weaving a little bit in frustration. It looks like he's going to go around for another one.
Yeah, it could have actually been an outlap, that one. So
Maybe. Yeah, probably was, actually. My mistake. But, yeah, Ethan Warren starting his lap, going through the deceptively difficult Hell Corner and out onto Mountain Straight. A couple of cars coming out of the pits just behind him, or three actually. That's Postlethwaite, McLeod and Burton all going out as one.
Interesting to see the time that McLeod can do this time around. So we've got Riley Blythe on screen, about to start a flying lap. Might watch this lap because ERT car number 67 currently P11.
Yeah, Riley Blythe, we've seen good things from him recently. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in this qualifying session at the Bathurst 1000. Driving with Ryan O'Sullivan in that car. His fastest time so far was his first, a 2:05.099. Just off the position in the top 10 that is currently occupied by Jake Burton and Blythe, struggling for rear end grip out of Griffins.
The ERT cars are really struggling for grip out of Griffins. That's the third different ERT car really struggling to get grip out, but then they look really good through the cutting. So I guess a bit of compromise for the ERT cars in the way they're setting the cars up.
Yeah, they might be going for the GT car style setup with the stiffer rear end to sort of try and get the car rotated in the high speed turns.
A bit of compromise in the way you need to set up the car also with the two drivers. So a lot of guys will be using this session the first real time that there's been a lot of traffic. So some guys will be using this as a little bit of a semi-race simulation, if that makes sense. Get a feel for a setup that both drivers like.
Yep, and Blythe just swinging to the other side of the straight to avoid Andrew Gilliam, who's just slowed down a bit. Looks to me as though Postlethwaite he was stopped just before Murray's, and it looks like he's done that as a bit of a ploy to get a draft off Jake Burton.
Not a bad ploy either. So 11 minutes left in this qualifying session, which will fly by.
Alright, well, Postlethwaite here probably thinking that Burton is his ticket into the top 15 for the shootout. And Burton himself thinking, what can I do to advance further in the top 10?
Burton's in that little bit of a bubble at the moment, P10. While he's clear by 2/10, it's not going to take much for 5 drivers to find 2/10 to get him. So got to be very careful. 10th is definitely not safe right now. I'm thinking the other drivers that are safe are probably from P8 upwards. Guys that have done 2:04s.
I would agree with you on that point. Oh, Burton really pushing it over the top. Have a look at him. Hard on the brakes, down through the S's, right across the curb. Ooh, really cutting it fine in the dipper. Bit of netcode damage on his car. And then first gear, throttle down, right out of Forest Elbow, and that looked like a very good lap from both Burton and Postlethwaite, but now Postlethwaite has the draft, so we'll see what kind of speeds he can get. Burton too has draft.
And Burton's sector times look very, very good too, so watch out for the timesheets to light up with Jake Burton here. He's only 3/10 off Jared Filsell, and exactly the same sector time, or 1/10 off, less than 1/10 off, through the middle sector. We could see an improvement here from both Burton and Postlethwaite with under 10 minutes left on the clock. Across the line comes Burton. This is a 2:04.
2:04, an 8:45. He goes to 7th. What about Postlethwaite though?
Postlethwaite up 1 spot. So Postlethwaite gone from 17th to 16th on that lap. The timesheets are starting to light up. The guys are starting to get a little bit quicker. Here we go.
Yeah, and you know what? Right on the bubble now is Synergy Sim Racing 4 and Progression Racing Australia 1. That's Dean O'Brien and Brady Myers.
Brady Myers straight away has just realised what's going on, and he's jumped straight back out onto the track. So Dean O'Brien already out on track. The track is definitely evolving and coming back to a few drivers. Talking car, Mitch McLeod back out on track now. Seeing smoke on the inside wall. There's a car up against the wall. It's a
that's Ian Ford.
ERT car, Ian Ford. So he could be done.
Yeah, he's asked for permission to tow. So, yeah, it looks like they've been granted permission. So that's the number 15 car out of the session. And their 5th place may very well be under threat now.
The track has clearly evolved to the point now where the times are getting quicker again. On screen now, the replay, Ian Ford's big moment. It's the wall under the Fujitsu bridge. That was huge. Huge hit into the wall.
Yeah, wow. Absolutely incredible stuff. But that's the kind of way that the mountain bites you, even in the qualifying session.
Go to Dean O'Brien next because he is the first in this group on a flying lap. Currently 14th. As we said, Brady Myers, Dean O'Brien, identical lap times. So, I don't know what will happen in that situation. That magical 4th number is showing O'Brien ahead of Brady Myers, but the lap times are showing identical, 2:05, 2:05. Identical as well.
Yes, indeed. And Dean O'Brien just went out of the cutting and it looked like he was still downshifting and slowing down after the apex. So I don't know if this lap is going to be a faster one from him. Looks like he's still pushing it over the top.
First sector, 47.3. So it's around about 8/10 off what we saw from the fast guys in Rogers and Philsell. Needs to find a bit more speed through this section. Low 30.
Very calm and controlled.
Yep, good 30.3 through the middle sector. So that's nice and steady, nice and controlled. Not a bad time.
Oh, big slide out of Forest Elbow, almost hitting the wall, but he's gotten that under control. And now he's got a car in front of him that's his teammate Brenton Hobson. I don't know if he's close enough for a draft.
Hobson might not want a draft because he wants to make sure that he stays in that top 10 shootout, currently in 10th position. Last of the drivers into the 204s. 0.2 of a second from 11th back to 16th. And into the pits comes the 89. So a little bit of an anticlimactic end. We'll go to the Progression Racing number 22 car, Brady Myers. Across the top of the mountain, a 47.2. So not a horrible first sector, but needs to find a bit more time.
Yep, he does. He's looking very nice down through the S's, though. Just hitting his marks nicely. Down into first gear through the dipper. Car number 026 requesting a tow. That's another ERT machine with Brenton O'Brien at the wheel. Or Jake Blackhall, sorry. Oh, and that's a very awkward spot.
A little bit off the pace in the middle sector for Brady Myers, so I think this will end this lap. We'll go to the talking car next because this first sector, middle sector, looked pretty good from Mitchell McLeod at the moment. So this lap could be an improvement for the number 40 talking car.
Yep, he only needs 3.5 tenths to get himself into the top 15. So if he can do that, it'll be incredible.
I'm past a couple of cars sitting offline, coming down Conrad Straight in Burton and Postlethwaite, but down under brakes. Very committed in the chase, but very controlled at the same time. Look very, very good through there. Whoa, get it back on the track. And he's aborting the lap. I think he ran a little bit too wide there at the exit. And that's hurt the lap.
Well, he's only going to have one more chance because we're coming up to 4 minutes to go in this session.
And nearly every car that is outside of the top 15 is on track, other than Riley Blythe and Michael Healy. They're done. They've decided to put it in the pits.
Yeah, looks like...
Number 40 car on screen looks pretty good for the first sector time. Or the number 400 car, I should say.
I was going to say, he just went into the pits, Jay. What are you talking about?
Oh, it's been a long week.
Tell me about it. But Joe Burkett coming down into the pit. Sorry, not the pits. What are you talking about,
Coming down the
Reese?
mountain. We're both doing a good job, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. It's fantastic. This has been a great night so far.
Oh,
Burkett
big moment.
at the dipper.
Sector time still looks good, though, so he might push on here. You can get a
Nice
great exit
wide
here.
entry. Oh,
Probably was a
Felt
spot
like
that
he-
doesn't really hurt you too much, but that didn't look as good through Forest Railway. 3 minutes left on the clock.
if Burkett can go around and make another lap. I don't know, if you were in that position, Jay, would you try it? Just go out for one more?
Oh, you have to go for one more.
Yeah.
If you're borderline, if 18th position, if you're not making the 15, you bring it straight into the pits and go again. No point improving from 18th to 17th. You've got to have a crack and try and get yourself in the shootout. That's what's going to count. But continuing on is Joe Burkett, so he must be okay with this lap.
Dear.
Big moment through the corner. Murray's
That's
205.6, so no improvement there for him.
Well,
Try and
see
find
if he
another driver on a
stays out.
flying lap. We'll go to next P14, the Synergy Sim Racing car. Wayne Burke now at the wheel. So Wayne's jumped back in the car. Dean O'Brien out, and they are on to try and improve from this 14th position. Currently tied in regards to lap time with Brady Myers on the bubble.
Yep, they're absolutely in the box seat right now. Wayne Burke really pushing it, coming through the cutting. Looking nice and smooth and controlled, though. Little tap of the brakes coming up through Reed. So if he can improve at all, then
Any improvement guarantees a
Yeah.
spot, I think.
yeah,
Doesn't
he'll be
need
safe.
much.
Yeah. Long as he gets off that 205, 205. Oh, did he take a little too much curb there? I don't know.
Possibly. Staying in at 47.0 for the first sector, and definitely off the pace in the middle sector. It's 30.5, and he's out of it. Boarding the lap, going to reset and go again. Interesting as well. Third through to 6, all in the pits done. Third through to 7th, I should say. Third through to 8th right now on queue. P2, back out on track. And
Yeah.
looks very, very quick.
Obviously,
Sector times are very
Rogers-
quick. Rogers is going for it.
Yeah, you want to be the last out in that shootout session that's coming up. 50 seconds left in the session.
While watching and wondering what we're talking about, straight after this finishes, we will have the top 15 shootout, the most entertaining 15 laps you will see. And to ruin
Rogers
the climax
in the
there,
pits.
Rogers in the pits.
Ah,
How anticlimactic was that? We'll go to Brady Myers, who is on his final attempt. Just hearing a car in the wall ahead of him, the 100. Slow, it got out of the way. Good first sector of 47.1. So this looks very, very good from Brady Myers, currently 15th position.
yep. And it's the same as with Wayne Burke. Any improvement is going to basically guarantee my spot in the top 15, isn't it?
Postlethwaite was involved, and I think one of the Zuva racing cars. I'm not too sure.
Henry King too,
Yep.
yeah.
That's unlucky.
So-
That's Postlethwaite done.
Yeah.
Checkered flag is out. Postlethwaite cannot make the shootout from 16th position. So it's on Jordan Ross, Joe Burkett, Simon Feigl at this 19th position. We've missed that. And Mitchell McLeod rounding out the top 20. Brady Myers coming down Conrad Straight for his final lap.
Yep, and
Great
he's had
bit
a
of
really
draft
good
too.
draft. Yeah, from Duran Nikora.
Slow middle
And
sector
that-
though for the 22.
Yeah, but this last sector might just save it. We'll see what happens.
Bring it across the line either way. He's got some great help. Of course, former teammates, I believe, as well, those two guys. So I'm probably going to get told I'm wrong there. It's come across the line 205.5, so no improvement.
And it didn't
Go-
count.
It didn't count. So Mitchell McLeod next. Very, very quick across the top and in the first sector. We'll see if he can improve. He needs to find 0.3 of a second. And I think this will be an improvement looking at the sector split times. McLeod through Murray's corner. Will he sneak into the shootout to 205.2?
278. He's just missed
Oh,
out.
17th. Wow, that's close.
Oh, goodness me. So it looks like Brady Myers and Wayne Burke.
And they'll hold on. Emily Jones is just done as well. Jason Dixon also done. So that's it. What a qualifying session.
Wow. Yeah, like you said, it started out like rapid fire, laps being set all over the place. Then there was that lull in the middle, and then it picked up right at the end. But now it looks like the grid is indeed set. Looks like Tyler Blackburn's just coming across the start-finish line now to set one final time, so 2:07.875. So no improvement there. It looks to me as though there are no cars left.
I don't think there's anyone on a flying lap. No.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think it will be an opportune time to run through the grid then.
This is
Or the timesheets,
unofficial,
rather.
Unconfirmed, but as it stands right now, fastest car in qualifying, Jared Filsell, Sean Kelly, the number 94 car, of course, the winners of Jared winning Phillip Island 500, of course, teaming up with a driver that we haven't seen since the end of last season in Sean Kelly. Next be Josh Rogers and Richard Hampstead. Interesting, Richard, first time he's driven with a driver other than John Latham in the 1000. So that'll be interesting to see how they go together. Dane Warren, Luke Harvey in third. They'll be the 13th car out on track. Fourth in that session for Zen El Nabi, Marlon McMullen. Then Ethan Grigult and Ian Ford. Jake Maloney and John Latham, the only combination to have both won a Bathurst 1000. Synergy Sim Racing 88 car next. Bretton Hobson at the wheel. Madison Down, Jake Burden in 8th. 9th is Thomas McMillan, Nathan Connor, and 10th, Ethan Warren and Daniel Williams.
Yes, indeed. Well, in 11th place is going to be the Evolution Racing Team number 67 entry, 12th Fuel Auto Tech TTR, Apex Rising Stars number 47 and 13th, 14th Synergy Sim Racing, 15th Progression Racing Australia. Of course, all of those times that we just talked about, they're going to be wiped, and we'll go for the shootout session very, very shortly. But starting from 16th place in tomorrow's race is going to be Synergy Sim Racing 7, Glenn Postlethwaite, just missing out on putting that car into the top 15, with Torque Inc. starting from 17th place. Synergy Sim Racing 2 is going to start from 18th place. That's Jordan Ross at the wheel of that car, with the number 400 car with Joe Burkhead at the wheel starting from 19th. And from 20th, Evolution Racing Team number 228, Simon Feigl and Mark Pickett are going to round out the top 20 for tomorrow's 1000.
21st is Emily Jones, first Bathurst 1000 with Stephen Sandman Clark. Next car, then it will be Brian Borg, Philip Pickett in 22nd. 23rd will be Jake Blackhall and Brenton O'Brien. 24th will be Jason Dixon, David Lord in the number 74. Laser Racing 100 next with Hammond and Bentz. Then 557 with Adam Hyland and Dylan Carroll at the wheel of that one. Michael Ford and Andrew Gillum next in the 201. Then the 005. Mick Cracknell, a late sub with Bo Albert at the wheel. Yeah, he's not too happy. We'll talk about that later on. But Scott Larnack, Blake Neck next in the 227, 29th position. And 30th will be Jamie McKnight and Stuart Vaughan for Performance Sim Spots.
Starting 31st, tomorrow is going to be the ASM Young Guns 018, Duran Nikora and James Scott at the wheel. Stealth Sim Sport, Way South Internet and Phone 1, Craig Jones and Paul Jones in 32nd position. 33rd, Performance Sim Sport 7, with Michael Taliancic piloting that car in this session. Number 34 on the grid is going to be number 696, All-Star Motorsports, Scott Kozlowski and Ryan Bodley. And right on cue, the race session started, so all of my timing sheets were messed up.
I'll keep going for you. Sure.
It's all right. I managed to sort it. Evolution Racing Team 000, which for some reason has the number 070 number. 35th position with Daniel Poulton there. 36th, Sky VR 46 Racing. Zuva Racing starting in 37th position. Synergy Sim Racing 5 in 38th position. Reese Goldfinch and Todd Parks. Performance Sim Sport Chassis 3 in 39th. Gary Cooper driving that one. And Best Haber Industries is going to round out the top 40. Zach Best and Harley Haber.
Next will be Matt Morris, Shannon Mason. 41st position for Proforce Racing. Then Zuva Racing 00, Henry King, Simon Black in that one. Then 014, Ben Twidale, Daniel Ackland. 44th will be the PFR team, 099 of Mark Newton, Matthew Clott, then Benjamin Smith, Tyler Blackburn in the 91 for Race on Oz, then STC Motorsport 028, ST Mazda 626, Cody Bircher and Tommy Harradine running out the 47 cars we had in qualifying. There was a few that weren't able to commit to tonight because it's not easy to do things on a Saturday night sometimes. But I know I have no life, so that's why I'm here.
Don't put yourself down like
that's
that.
True.
Jay.
That's true.
I'm here. Remember, I'm here too.
It's only early for you. It's not even go out time yet. Not even dinner time yet.
Yeah, true. Quarter to
You
6
can go
in
out.
the evening.
You can go out after this. You can go down and party.
Yeah, I could, but I got to get up early for the
Commentate
1000
this.
tomorrow.
Commentate this instead.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that brings to a conclusion the qualifying session for the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series Bathurst 1000, part of the Hyper Stimulator Endurance Cup. We'll be back for the top 15 shootout very, very shortly. You're watching V8s Online. We'll be back very soon.
Nestled in vast, picturesque country New South Wales, right next to the big town of Bathurst, to many motorsport fans, Mount Panorama needs no introduction. It is the Australian racetrack, the place where people plan pilgrimages, the Southern Hemisphere's answer to Spa, Suzuka, and the Nürburgring, all in one insane piece of road. It is fast, it follows the terrain, and walls are close at all times. Only the best triumph here, both in real life and in sim racing. Mount Panorama is subject to more waxing lyrical and commentary cliches than any other track in Australia, but suffice to say that is not without very good reason. Like many of the tracks we visit for the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series, Bathurst's history of motorsport goes much further back than is immediately apparent. There has been motor racing activity in the area surrounding Bathurst since the start of the 20th century. The first circuit used in the region was the Peel Circuit in 1906, connecting the towns of Peel, Clear Creek and Kelso. The second was the Yetholm Circuit, a triangular loop around the localities of Kirkconnell, Meadow Flat and Sunny Corner. This track entered use in 1914 as the host of the first Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix. The third was the Mount Horrible or Sunny Corner Circuit in 1926, which combined parts of the former tracks and extended all the way up to Palmer's Oakey to create a massive 100-kilometre loop. And finally, from 1931 to 1937, racing was held on the Vale Circuit, a track shooting through paddocks right next to the future site of Mount Panorama. Bathurst as we know it had its beginnings in the Vale Circuit period. The Mayor of Bathurst, Martin Griffin, wanted to create a permanent home for motor racing in the region, to construct the greatest circuit in the world. Unfortunately, Griffin had the problem of the world being in the midst of the Great Depression. The Australian government was not willing to commit funds to something like a motor racing circuit, so Griffin hatched another plan. He and the Bathurst Council approached the government with plans for an employment relief scheme, a tourist drive going up and down the Bald Hills. The economic benefits seemed obvious and this plan got greenlit. But as the new Mount Panorama Scenic Drive was constructed, it was noted that it would make a very good motor racing circuit. How very convenient, Mr. Griffin. Well played. Mount Panorama Circuit hosted its first race in 1938 for motorcycles, and from then on, the track's fame only grew. After World War II, the circuit became the most popular motor racing venue in Australia. In 1963, it poached the Armstrong 500-mile race from Phillip Island, which, come 1973, was extended to 1,000 kilometres. As the Bathurst 1000 was born, the legend continued to build, and many of the most famous moments in Australian motorsport history took place here. It was also at Bathurst that Australia's Ford versus Holden rivalry was truly established, as regulations and series evolved with the track. The 1987 Bathurst 1000 was selected as a round of that year's World Touring Car Championship. but changes had to be made to comply with the FIA's new rulings, which stated that they would not sanction races at circuits with straights longer than 2 kilometres. The Chase was constructed in response, but that remains the only layout change made to the circuit. Apart from this challenging diversion off Conrod Straight, Mount Panorama follows exactly the same route as it did when it opened. The history of this venue up to the present is so rich and storied that we would need the 6 hours it takes to run a Bathurst 1000 just to cover everything. Moffat, Brock, Bow, Richards, Johnson, Scaife, Lowndes, Whincup, Winterbottom, the list goes on. Suffice to say that Australian motorsport and world motorsport would not be the way it is without the presence of this venue. This track, this race, is one of the greatest spectacles and tests of skill and endurance that the motorsport world has to offer, real or virtual. And now, you get to watch 100 of Australian sim racing's best tackle it. Welcome back, everyone, to V8's Online's live broadcast of the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series Bathurst 1000, part of the Hyperstimulator Endurance Cup. We're back once again, just waiting for the server to go up for the top 15 shootout, one of the highlights of the season. But until then, we got a bit of spare time. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box is Jay Kennedy. Jay, we're back.
We're back. We also got Cameron Dance alongside us too. He's already commentated a Bathurst 1000 today. He's come in for more punishment. So hello again to you, Cam. Welcome back into the booth.
Yes, hello. It's another long, wait in the day of commentating the Bathurst 1004 Hyper and NZ here, but I'll continue to do a top 15 shootout for SCOPS.
Yep, what a way to go. But I thought while we've got this little bit of a waiting time, I've got about 5 minutes before the shootout goes live. I thought I might give you boys some SCOPS trivia. Might even question you.
Oh,
So,
that sounds pretty good.
All right. So, question for you. I know there's a couple of people in the broadcast chat that know the answer to this, so they can be quiet, and they will. So before this race, I said before, Richard Hampstead and John Latham had teamed up together for the previous 3. There were 3 other combos that teamed up together for each and every Bathurst previous to tonight, or this weekend. And 2 of them are racing again together in this one. Name the 3.
No. That's my answer.
2 of the 3 have finished in the podium positions in 2015 and 2016.
Well, we can count out Burton and Down and
they've only
Rogers
raced
and whoever he was driven
Yep.
with.
They've all only raced one Bathurst 1000. Those guys. So Burton and Down both only raced in 2014. Real life commitments 2015. We ran the 2014 one in November.
Oh, we did too.
Quite an interesting race. We had Richard Hampstead and John Latham win that one. Second position from memory, I think, was Jared Philsell and Scott McLaughlin.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that.
I hope you remember. I finished 25th.
Oh, that's the highlight.
So, yeah. Question is, name the 3 teams other than Hampstead and Latham who have teamed up for 2014, 2015 and 2016 Bathurst 1000s.
Yeah.
We've got one. We've got one correct in the chat.
There we go.
Daniel Benefield. Well done. You've got one right. And the other 2. The other 2 are a little bit trickier. Talk one. They are one of the 2 that are continuing again this weekend, driving together. But there is one other pairing that is racing this weekend who have raced in 2014, 2015 and 2016 together. And I'm surprised that one person in the chat doesn't know who it is, because one person in there that I can see commenting is actually teammates with them. So there's an extra clue for people in the chat.
Is one of them Hammond and Bentz?
No, it is not Hammond and Bentz. They've only raced in 2 Bathurst 1000s. They did race in 2014. Very tough one, this one, isn't it? Person that I think knows who I'm talking about now with the smiley face there. Hello, Sean. I'm talking to you. Well done to Scott. Chris Cox said, well done. You know the answer to the trivia question that includes yourself. So Chris Cox said Liam Wilde. Finished third last year. They've teamed up in every Bathurst 1000 together. And there's one other combo. They're not racing in this one. They did race at Phillip Island together, but they didn't do any pre-qual laps in this one. I'll give this one away. 009 machine we normally see driven by James McKnight and Martin Carroll. They've teamed up together for the 3 previous ones. Of course, they're missing this one. So it leaves 2 teams that have raced every single one together. Believe it or not, in 4 years, we've only got 2 teams that are identical from year to year.
Wow, that's a pretty cool fact, actually, especially considering that in the real life 1000, you often have those driver pairings, especially up the front, that stay together for years and years at a time.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I thought that there would have been a few more that had teamed up together and stayed together for that long. So, yeah, interesting. Saying that too, the other trivia question to go with, my apologies to James McKnight, Martin Carroll. I know Marty's overseas at the moment, which is part of the reason why they're not racing. Only team to have DNF, or the only 2 drivers to have DNF'd in. Oh, sorry, there's 3 drivers that have DNF'd in 2014, 2015, and 2016. There's one other driver that has DNF'd every Bathurst 1000. Not racing this year, though. Yeah, there's another bit of trivia for you.
Looking forward to hearing the answer to that, because I genuinely don't know.
That's probably a bit tough, that one. Not racing. If they were racing in this one, it might make it a little bit easier because you could narrow it down. But 2014, they teamed up with Michael Fabian, and 2015 and 2016, they teamed up with Christian Elwood. There's a bit of help.
I'm a terrible stats man.
Yeah, see, I love it. So that's why I'm going right. It's actually Richard Elwood. So Richard Elwood used to drive with Mad Cow Racing and then went over with the ANZ Motorsport guys. Richard and Christian teamed up together in 15 and 16, but both DNF. So they're the only 3 drivers to have DNF'd all 3 of their starts in the Bathurst 1000. Of course, that record will will continue because they're not racing in this one.
Well, that's one stat that will have to be reset or put in the history books for a while. Wait for someone else to challenge it. Of course, I don't think anyone would want to challenge for most DNFs in a row.
I don't think you'll want that record. I know Fonty's apparently in here listening, but someone's asked if the person that DNF'd 3 times was Fonty. So a lot of faith from you in the broadcast chat, Fonty. You are listening to us. We are picking on you because it's deserved. Yeah, 2014, Scott McLaughlin and Jared Filsell did finish second to John Latham and Richard Hampstead. Of course, Hampstead in that 2014 season won every race except for the first race, which was pretty amazing all in itself.
Yeah, it was. That was an interesting season. We were just getting started up with V8SCOPS.
It was very much a test season, really, wasn't it? It's probably the best way to describe it. It was a tester, and we learned a lot, and we've evolved into something massive now.
Yeah, we definitely have. In fact, looking back on that first broadcast at COTA, you and Sandman were doing the commentary, and I was still the pit reporter.
Wow, that was a long time ago then. Cam wasn't even thought about jumping in the booth with it.
No.
Good to have you. Good to have you in with us.
Actually,
You would have still been over. It wasn't even on iRacing.
Yeah, it wasn't. I've only been on iRacing for 2 years now, so I would have only been on R Factor.
Waiting for the session to jump up so we can start bringing some pictures through from the top 15 shootout, which I'm really looking for. It's going to be a fantastic event. And hearing as well from Race Control. So we've got a few things to review from qualifying. Quite a lot to review as well. So probably won't run through that now. I think there's probably too much for Race Control to look over for us to actually talk about it too much. As we're not far away from getting pictures through because join the session.
Yeah, we certainly can, and we'll be bringing those live pictures to you very, very soon for the top 15 shootout.
This is my most favourite part of this weekend. As much as I love the race, I love the shootout. I think shootout is the most incredible component we have to V8 Scops. So unique. We only do it 3 or 2 times a year with Scops. Of course, next round at Road Atlanta, we do the race for the grid similar to Sandown. So it's a very cool format. So get to enjoy it in the next few minutes.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. This is one of my favorite parts of the year in V8 Scops, and in any real life motorsport as well. A shootout style qualifying session is just fantastic to watch. There's this really tense atmosphere that comes over you, and you're watching with bated breath to see what the driver's going to do on their hot lap, and they're just out there. It's them and the track. They attack at 110%, and it's very much win it or bin it. Especially once you get to the latter part of the session.
Win it or bin it, indeed. I mean, there's nothing more that you can do in this than go all out. The guys that'll go out early, they've got a little bit more to gain than the guys at the front. Guys first, second, third, fourth, they've got everything to lose, but you want that pole position too. So it's a real fine line on how far you push it, but the guys at the back, they'll be making sure they get their lap times counting, because we saw at Phillip Island, Brady Myers didn't get an actual lap time in, and that put him way back in the field in the mid pack, essentially being 14th. So we'll see whether qualifying really can throw a few curveballs. We probably will.
Yeah, well, looks like there's some discussion in the broadcast chat about how hot the track's going to be. I can confirm that it's a very cool track. It's overcast in the shootout session at the moment. 24-degree track with a 24-degree air temperature. So we're going to see some quick times in this session.
Oh, it's going to be very, very quick. Really looking forward to seeing how this all plays out. Waiting for all the drivers to get into the session, and then we will have pictures coming through. And as we said before, we do have live timing up available on our website, v8sonline.com/live-timing. Go. This is going to be very exciting. I cannot wait. Bring it on.
Yep, Simon Black just at the pit exit, maneuvering his car.
Acting as a blocker.
Yep, of course, some concessions need to be made in order to get this session to run as smoothly as possible.
Waiting for all the drivers to come in, and we'll be interested to see whether we have any issues like we saw with Josh Rogers at Bathurst. I think he's learnt a little bit of a valuable lesson from that. He made a little bit of a joke about it afterwards. He knows he did the wrong thing, so a little bit of discussion about that after the qualifying session, but I think the right decision was made in the end in regards to removing the time.
Yes, of course. It did cause a bit of controversy at the time, but, what's a Scops season without a little bit of controversy? That's part of what we live for as the commentary team, isn't it?
If we get caught up right in the middle of it too, always comes barreling at us, and I don't know why. We don't do it. We've got nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
We're just the people who drone over it.
Must be an easy target, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, they can't. Nobody can hear what the drivers are saying except us a lot of the time. So I guess that's part of the magic, I suppose.
For some reason, it's still showing the Phillip Island track map on screen, but I don't know why that is. It says it's Phillip Island, but it's definitely Mount Panorama. We've got shootout qualifying, as you said, 25 degrees, overcast, wind from the north, so fairly light wind as well, so it won't affect the drivers too much in this qualifying run. Ready to get underway.
Yep, so the first person out is going to be the number 22 Progression Racing Australia entry. Brady Myers will be taking that car around for the first hot lap of the session. We're just waiting on race control, giving them permission to enter the track.
We're actually waiting to see if we're ready. It was a little bit awkward when when the race is waiting for us, but extra time needed when you're actually spectating as opposed to racing. You get in a little bit quicker sometimes. You're actually racing in an event, so I'll have the first car out on track in just a moment. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. I cannot wait. As we've been saying, this is the moment that we've been waiting for the whole way through this campaign.
Yep, and there's going to be tons of grip available to the drivers here at the moment. There's no UV rays hitting the track and heating it up, so oh boy, they're going to be pushing.
Simon Black gets the car out of the way. We get ready to get things moving along. First driver will hit the track in just a moment.
Yeah, still waiting for Brady to get his car out into the pits, and then we'll be able to get started. So we've got an hour and 50-minute session here for this shootout.
Hopefully it doesn't take that long.
Yeah, certainly not. But the way this is going to operate is when a driver is on their hot lap and exits Forest Elbow, the next car to go out will be released from the pits. So there'll be a good amount of time between drivers setting their hot laps, and everyone will get their hot lap in and maximum airtime. The track is still suspiciously silent. I'm not hearing any V8 roar out there just yet.
Race control's just making sure everyone understands what's going on so we don't see a repeat of what happened for the last event we had. Waiting with bated breath. It's getting very exciting, and I just want this to get underway because I just want it to start. I want it to go. Well, interesting.
Yeah.
Predictions starting to go on in the chat of times, considering how hot or cool, I should say, the track is. I think we might see a low to mid 202 in this session.
Yeah, I think that's a very good prediction to make. A lap time somewhere in the 202s for pole.
We will be around about that pace as we see the likes of Phil Sell and Rogers at the end of the session. But scrape the wall and done. All over.
Yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, you can't turn off the iRacing incident system for contact 0Xs in qualifying sessions. So, unlike in a real shootout session where you might graze a wall and still be able to have a lap time registered, if you even touch a wall slightly and the incident system picks it up, then you're out. Your lap is done. And Brady Myers will be the first to test those limits. He's exiting the pits and is now going to go around on his installation lap and then his hot lap. Myers already weaving to get a little bit more heat and pressure into those tyres.
Back-to-back shootouts for Brady too, which is a very, very good result. So pressure's off 15. I think 15th is the position you want in a shootout other than first. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. It doesn't matter what happens in this lap, because if you get a lap time in, you're likely to improve.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's almost always going to be someone who really makes a huge mistake on their hot lap, and Well, if you're the first one out, then if it ends up being you, then no great loss.
I think we'll see maximum attack from Brady in this lap when we get to it. But as we're saying, nothing to lose. It's a great position to be in. You can go all out, and if you hit the wall, it doesn't matter at all because you have the time on your side. With 15th, you're already in it anyway, so it doesn't matter if you don't improve it. Myers coming down Conrod Straight, getting a little bit of heat into these tyres. Now, interesting, a lot of drivers did not practice this shootout style qualifying for Phillip Island, and I don't believe any drivers have practiced it again for this one as well. So thought a few more drivers may have gone out and done a little bit more practice with the style of shootout qualifying that we're seeing right now.
Well, I always find that if I prepare for something too much, I end up messing up even more. So I suppose that's an alright way to go. But Brady Myers now starting his hot lap, and we'll get a bit of a pointer on what the pace is going to be like here as he exits Hell Corner.
Long drive up Mountain Straight. Must probably click into 6th gear with these conditions before he hits the braking marker. Right on the rev limiter in 5th. Hard on the brakes through Griffin's Bend. Looking very, very smooth. Right on cue. A big slide.
Tiny over rotation in the middle of the corner, and he just avoided hitting the wall on the exit. So, yeah, as you predicted, Jay, maximum attack from Brady Myers so far. Not much wheel spin out of the cutting thanks to the cooler temperatures.
46.6 for the first sector, so that's the time to keep an eye on throughout this qualifying run for the number 22. Compare that to the other drivers in this qualifying run. Come through McPhillamy Park. First downhill part of the track, down at Skyline, through the S's.
Yep, and Myers bouncing off the limiter as he smashes down through the gears. Hard on the throttle out of the dipper. This is looking like a very good lap so far, taking that nice wide line into the elbow, keeping it nice and tight to the exit.
29.9 for the middle sector, so that's pretty quick in comparison to what we saw in the qualifying run before. This will be in the 203s, low to mid 203s at the moment.
Yep, and now full commitment into the chase. Flat out through the kink and then getting on the brakes near the 150 marker. He pulled it up very nicely. So now he's only got one corner to go. What can Brady Myers do in this shootout session? He managed to scrape into the top 15. It looks like he's definitely made the most of it. What kind of time is this going to be? A 2:04.1.
Good solid lap there from Brady just to make sure he's consolidated his position. And that will be a pretty good time as a banker in this session. So well done to Brady Myers. Good run.
Yeah, for sure. Now we wait for the next driver to come around on their out lap. And that's going to be Wayne Burke for Synergy Sim Racing 4. Now a reminder for people who have just joined us, Burke and Myers set exactly the same time in the qualifying session, at least down to the 1,000th of a second. A 2:05.205 for both of them. That has the potential to change now. So Burke has seen that time, or will have been told about that time that Myers set, the 2:04.159. He'll know what to aim for now. Some more weaves down Conrod Straight, but as he exits the chase and gears up, this is where the heart rate really shoots up. Wayne Burke in the number 89 car. These guys were fantastic at Phillip Island. Let's see how they do at Bathurst.
Yep, podium.
Burke starts his lap.
Podium at Phillip Island for these guys. Finished 3rd. Did a great job, just picked off places and held their own. Led for a fair portion of the race early as well. And around turn 1, nice and smooth through Hell Corner. As you say, one of the most deceptive corners in Australian Motorsport. Hell Corner can always get it wrong. So many lines and none of them are right. But that looked pretty good.
Definitely did. He's taken a bit of an interesting line over the top there on the mountain straight. He stayed to the right over the hump. Most drivers cross over to the left before then. He's looking a lot more controlled through Griffins than Myers was.
Yep. And we often see laps that look slow and controlled are actually quite quick, especially at Bathurst, because the commitment levels needed to keep it looking controlled are still quite high. 46.4, so about a tenth and a half up on Brady Myers through the first sector.
Yep, just keeping it nice and smooth over the top here, leaving a nice bit of space to the wall on the outside.
Amazing to think these guys get up to 220 k's across the top there before they're hard on the brakes, coming down the hill through the dipper. Love that corner. Amazing piece of real estate here. 30.1, so a little bit off the pace in the middle sector. They're back to about even now, coming down Conrod Straight between number 89, Wayne Burke at the wheel, and Brady Myers, who has punched in a 2:04.1.
And that exit from Forest Elbow may or may not have made all the difference, because you get on that throttle nice and efficiently out of the elbow, and you carry that speed all the way down here to the chase.
286 before he's on the brakes at about the 150 marker, and into the chase we go. This lap has looked very, very smooth. How ironic would it be if he does a 2:04.16? We'll see what time it will be when they come up to the start-finish line, or the finish line through Murray's corner.
Lock.
Oh, this lap is very close to Myers.
134.
Wow.
Only a few hundredths quicker.
Oh, that was very close, but Wayne Burke improves. He'll, at worst, start from 14th in this race. A very, very good lap there from Wayne Burke, so well done to him.
Yep, and I tell you what, I feel like Synergy Sim Racing versus Progression Racing Australia, 89 versus 22, they're going to be ones to watch tomorrow.
I agree. Very, very strong pairing that will go underrated by the rest of the field. Another pair, the next two guys out on track, these two guys are ones to watch as well. They'll just plod along, do their own thing, and by the time we get to lap 150, they'll be potentially fighting for a podium. These guys are ones to keep an eye on throughout this race tomorrow. Talking about Sam Blacklock and Kurt Stenberg. Sam Blacklock, while we've got this quick moment, I've got to thank him for his hard work. You'll see some of his awesome graphical work tomorrow. A couple of teams that had a little bit of a sneaky peek, but big thank you to Sam for his hard work. He's put in hours and hours and hours of work behind the scenes to help out with some cool stuff for the broadcast for tomorrow. So big thank you to Sam.
Yep, 100%, and he'll be giving it 100% on this hot lap, so as he comes out of the chase, yeah, at least. Not just 10 tenths around here. So Blacklock and the number 47 Apex Replicas, Rising Stars, number 47 car, on the throttle out of Murray's and across the line. And now the pressure is on.
Nice and controlled through Hell Corner. Got a pretty good exit. Just used the curb nicely on the exit of Hell. And up Mountain Straight we go. See if we get a little sneaky shift in the 6th, or we'll stay on the limiter in 5th. Hard on the limiter, 254 k's per hour in 5th gear. Back through the gears, through Griffins.
Yep, and once again he's looking nice and smooth through Griffins, so this is already looking like a good lap from Blacklock. Oh, really firing it towards the inside of the cutting. Taking that nice line through there that I haven't seen too many drivers take. Oh, God, he's pushing it.
Same lap, sector time as Brady Myers too in that first sector with the 46.6. If you can find something across the top of the mountain. Wowee, that was close.
That was incredibly
Full
close.
commitment.
Yeah, talk about full commitment down here through the S's. Nearly getting sideways through the dipper.
Oh, that was close to the wall. That's the quickest middle sector we've seen, 29.8. So this has improved. Slightly ahead now on the time we saw from Wayne Burke as we come down Conrod Straight. A little bit of a chance to catch a breath.
Yeah, this lap from Sam Blacklock has been about as close to wall riding as you can possibly get within iRacing's limitations.
Probably nearly past it. Hits 286 before his foot on the brake.
Car squirming a little.
Yep. Still managed to hit the apex quite well and got a very, very good exit through the chase too. So this lap could move Blacklock into provisional first for now. Round Murray's Corner, crossing the line. 2:04.0, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Excellent stuff from Sam Blacklock, a 2:04.077.
Very good lap from Sam. So worst they can start is 13th. So good qualifying run. Very, very close in regards to the times from all three drivers so far.
Yeah, separated by less than a tenth so far, these three cars that have already set times, but pretty soon there will be a fourth. We've got Lee Ellis out there in the number 18 Fuel Auto Tech TTR entry. Of course, Michael Healy was the driver at the wheel of the car for most of the qualifying session, but Lee has taken control for the shootout.
If anyone's got eyes on for this quali lap, you can tell Lee Ellis does looking at that helmet, because that gets me every time looking at that. Calm down, Conrad, to start this flying lap. Here we go.
Yep, Lee Ellis and Michael Healy once again running a different kind of retro livery for this round. This was Trans-Tasman Racing's first ever livery back in the R-Factor days, so a lot of history behind this car. And Ellis, two-wheeling it out of Murray's.
That was a
lucky.
terrible start to the lap too, so that's compromised him from the get-go.
At least he can brake later for Hell Corner. Silver lining and all that.
Silver lining like the silver car as they shoot up Mountain Straight. See if it has improved. Actually, a little bit of damage to the left-hand side of the car too from that outlap too. So definitely going to be a little bit compromised.
Yeah, I do know that with these colder track temperatures, oftentimes you can get caught out by how easily the car turns in with that extra grip. So there's probably a chance that Lee wasn't quite able to feel out how much to push the car, but looks like he's going some way to remedying that mistake.
46.8 in the first sector, so 2/10 off. That would have been the time lost in turn one. In the final corner on his out lap. A compromised start. See if he can improve over the top of the mountain though.
Yep, fires it straight towards the inside wall, straight lining the S's.
Second sector split time right here, 30.1. So about 2/10 off the pace.
Oh,
whoa, big moment.
Okay, and that would have compromised his exit onto Conrad Straight. Goodness me, that was an awesome little moment there. Probably not from the driver's seat, but for us.
Everyone else liked it, except for the two drivers involved, Lee Ellis and Michael Healy. That's definitely compromised their run, and I don't think we'll see an improvement in time. Important to set a lap time, though, because we will almost definitely see someone in the wall at some point. Through the chase comes Lee Ellis to complete this lap. I'm going to guess a 2:05 something.
Well, we'll see. He lost an awful lot of time coming on to Conrad Straight. It's going to be a 2:05.287. So Lee Ellis currently provisional 15th.
Not the position you want. And saying that, 12th, 15th, not a huge difference in a 50 car, 161 lap race. Nearly sold the race short a couple of laps then.
It's not quite the Sandown race.
We can confirm we won't be time certain. There'll be no time certain finish in this race tomorrow. Riley Blythe, Ryan O'Sullivan, the next pairing out on track. Riley Blythe taking the wheel.
Yeah, and short shifting all the way down through the S's. I think they've put a very low fuel load in that ERT car.
Possibly also trying to save the tyres as much as possible.
Ensuring there's no wheel spin when you've got revs down that low. There's no way that the wheels are going to spin. Save the tyres for this flying lap.
Yep, and Blythe and O'Sullivan have been a great pairing so far in the Endurance Cup. They did all right at Phillip Island. Let's see how well they do at Bathurst. Blythe now at maximum attack. And a good clean start.
Very, very good under brakes coming through Hell Corner. Hit the apex quite well and got a great exit too. So, nice run up Mountain Straight for the Evolution Racing Team Falcon.
That looked like one of the best lines through Hell Corner I've seen all night.
It's 2:55 before hitting the brakes. So a little bit quicker than the last few guys we've seen too, which is a big bonus.
Oh, big squeaky moment on the exit.
Geez, the ERT cars are really struggling through Griffin's Bend. All the cars for that team have struggled there, but for the rest of the lap, they've looked very, very smooth. Blythe looking good through this section of the track. 46.5, so second quickest through the first sector.
Okay, and now across the top is where all the difference is going to be made. It looks like the ERT cars are very well set up for this section. Oh yeah, very big moment. Getting so close to putting that car right into the wall. Oh, he almost hit the apex wall there.
Full commitment here from Riley Blythe in this lap. Middle sector 30.0, so good middle sector too. Looking around about the same time as Blacklock and Burke in that gap there.
And that looked like a great exit onto Conrod Straight as well. This is going to be a really good lap from Riley Blythe here if he can keep this up through the last few corners.
How close to that 290 mark he can get here coming through the chase. 286 before he's on the break at the 150 marker. Equal quickest was seen at that point too, so through the chase. Short little run, back down Conrod Straight into Murray's Corner for this lap. What time will it be?
Oh, we almost kicked the rear end out under brakes there, but it looks like he's very confident, Riley Blythe. 2:04.364, though. So
yeah, lost a bit of time in that last sector.
That's a bit of a shame. Other than that, it looked like an excellent lap from Riley Blythe, so watch out for them in the race tomorrow. Perhaps CRT will put a bit of effort towards fixing that problem with their cars through Griffins.
Yeah, definitely an issue with that car, or their cars through Griffins, because we saw Blythe, we saw Gridgorp, we saw Ford, we saw Blake Neck into the fence there as well. So something with the way that they've set the car up there that is really struggling, but it's time for the Lego head himself, Ethan Warren. Have a look at that helmet.
It is the best, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a meme all in itself, that helmet, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Ethan Warren coming out onto Conrod Straight, doing a bit of weaving once again.
How good a job is it from these guys to qualify the car in the top 10? Let alone make the shootout. To make top 10 for Ethan Warren, Daniel Williams, great effort to make the shootout. That is absolutely fantastic. So well done to those guys. I don't think they'll care where they come in this.
Yeah, I think to get into the top 10 in qualifying is an achievement in and of itself. In fact, you know, we say that for a lot of things at Bathurst, but it's just one of those tracks, one of those races that can really bite you at the worst of times. But Ethan Warren starting his qualifying lap in car number 313. Nice and stable on the brakes. Oh, took a little bit too much at the inside of Hell Corner there.
Bit aggressive there, so pull off up Mountain Straight and go at it again. Probably the best thing if you do get Hell Corner slightly wrong. You've got a bit of time to clear your head as you come up this big long run. 253 before he's on the brakes. A little bit off the pace what we saw in the 67 for outright speed, but look at how much better the drive is out of the corner, looking a lot smoother.
Yeah, almost throwing up some sparks on the entry to the cutting. Oh, he's really cutting it fine.
May have hit the wall.
Yeah.
May have clipped the inside wall. We'll find out whether the lap time actually registers, but there's a bit of damage to the front of the wall. Find out if it repairs itself magically, it'll be netcode, but I think that was a legitimate scrape on the inside wall.
Yeah, well, at the very least, you can tell that the ASM guys have a lot of confidence in the front ends of their cars.
Oh, that's
Oh,
definitely
out.
hit the wall that time. That's two wheels up the wall. 30.6 in the middle sector. So this lap will not be a great lap time, but regardless, the All-Star Motorsport 313 car is going to start with inside the top 15, regardless of how this lap pans out.
Yeah, and you got to be happy with that, but I think that is one of the most entertaining moments of the night right there. Just hitting that wall in the corner before the dipper, two-wheeling it all the way through.
How good a performance has All-Star Motorsports done to get 3 cars into the shootout? Last season, they were pretty much unknowns. They broke through with a pole from Dane Warren at Sebring and up through Murray's Corner for the end of this lap. Very sideways. Don't think this lap time's going to count.
It isn't. So it looks like they're going to be the last on the timesheets now, but hey, that was still a very entertaining lap to watch.
They made it into the shootout. That's more than a lot of other teams can say. I've never made a shootout and I never will. So well done to Ethan and Daniel for making the shootouts. We go to another All-Star Motorsports car, Thomas McMillan, driving across the top of the mountain with Nathan Connor this weekend. Driving for a cause as well, which is always good to see. They'll jump in, the guys from that team over the weekend or over the race. We'll have a bit of a chat about charity stuff that they're doing, which is great to see.
Certainly is. Supporting the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia on that car. An excellent cause to support. And they've got it right here. About 3 minutes worth of completely dedicated airtime to this car, so a really good achievement for those guys.
That lap from Sam Blacklock's just shown how decent it was. They've gained 2 spots. Worst they can start now is 11th. Thomas McMillan starting this lap, coming into Murray's Bend to get it underway.
And away we go. So down into turn 1. He's started the turn in a bit early there.
Locked the front as well, so yeah, a little bit unsettled through turn 1. Hopefully he calms his nerves and gets it under control as he makes his way up Mountain Straight.
Once again, I'm noticing it's probably a very aggressive front end on the ASM cars because, oh dear, nearly hit the wall.
That was close.
Because you could see in both of those turns, McMillan was actually going towards the inside of the corner while he was still in the braking zone before the actual turn-in had started. So, very aggressive front end.
46.6 for McMillan through the first sector, and I think he may have just clipped the wall at Metal Grate. Or sparks flying, but doesn't look like it. May have been a little bit of netcode there, so makes his way down the mountain now. That first sector split time, about the same pace we saw from Brady Myers and Sam Blacklock, so not too bad. Very quick middle sector, 29.9. This looks good.
Yeah, it certainly does. Now he's out onto Conrod Straight. He'll just be going up through the gears, waiting for the turn-in for the chase. Aggressive turn-in once again. This car has looked on point so far. But now down to the final corner he goes. We'll see what kind of time this is from McMillan. It's looking like a very good lap. All running a little bit wide in Murray's.
Whoa!
Oh, no!
He's done 204.5 as well.
That lap would have been in the 203s.
Oh,
That's heartbreaking there for McMillan at the end of that lap. Big moment, but somehow managed to keep control of it. We'll get a quick replay because that was a huge moment.
Bloody hell, that must have been super scary from the driver's seat. And for it to happen all the way at the end of the lap as well, after everything that you'd done on that lap. Just got on the throttle a little too hard, but at least he kept it out of the wall, which kept his lap from being completely invalidated.
Next driver out on track is Jake Burton in the number 1 Fuel Autotech TTR car. Another throwback livery, old team livery there for the number 1 from 2013, I'm fairly sure. I'm going to get told I'm wrong, but I'm going to think 2013.
Well, if you're wrong, we'll find out soon
Well,
enough.
don't worry, I'll get the message very soon.
So, Jake Burton. He's had an interesting history at Bathurst. Used to drive with Kurt Stenberg. Now has partnered with Madison Down. So now they have begun. That was a nice line that he took through turn 1. Burton's had mixed fortunes at Bathurst. The ones that he's been present for anyway.
They only actually started 1,000, and that was back in 2014. He raced with Stenny, and they finished 15th.
Yeah, they were doing quite well as well, but unfortunately, I think Jake had an incident that put them out of contention, which was very unfortunate.
They put him a lap down, I think, and hurt any chance they had. Good first sector, 46.4 for Jake Burton. It's equal fastest we've seen with Wayne Burke through the first sector. 29.8 is the fastest middle sector we've seen. See if we can get anywhere near that marker.
He's looking nice and controlled through the S's, though.
29.8, so fastest middle sector we've seen. This lap will be quick if he can complete it.
That looked like an absolutely sublime exit from Forest Elbow onto the straight. So let's see how he does in the chase. How hard is he going to push it under brakes?
287 before he hits the brakes. It's the fastest speed we've seen through the chase as well. Through he comes to complete this flying lap. Oh, big sideways moment.
Just a little.
What lap time will it be? I'm going to guess a 2:03.7. Oh, geez, I'm close.
203.6.
Wow.
That's close enough to 2:03.7. I'll take that. Jake Burton goes to first, though, 0.3 of a second over Sam Blacklock with 2:03.689.
Yep, that was an excellent lap from Jake. That was just consummate, hitting your marks, doing everything that you needed to do to get that time on the board. Tell you what, his performance through the chase, that really speaks to how well TTR have got these cars set up. He was nice and straight on the brakes, but the moment he turned the wheel, it was nice and aggressive. It looked like it was on rails.
That car looked really, really good there. So watch out for the number 1 serious contender to win this race this weekend. Of course, Jake Burton, Madison Down. One of the few teams there you'd say that there's 2 A drivers. Another one is out there now, Brenton Hobson, David Moore. 2 guys that are doing very, very well in the championship at the moment. First time they've teamed up for a Bathurst 1000. Good to see how they go.
Yes, indeed. Brenton Hobson and David Moore. Hobson's really come to the fore in this season of V8SCOPS. He's been around the top 6 on a few occasions, so looking forward to seeing how they do around here in the shootout session. Brenton Hobson taking car 88 nice and smoothly through Murray's Corner to start his lap.
Go nice and... Ooh, a little bit of a lock up there. He approached Hell Corner, but he got through it okay. So the actual speed that he got through the corner was quite okay. Up Mountain Straight. See if we can get up to 255. Up and over the rise. So pretty much on pace with Burton. Doesn't look too bad. Coming through Griffin's Bend as well. Looks very, very settled.
Yeah, it does. The curb did almost nothing to upset the car's balance there. And coming through the cutting, it's also looking very smooth.
46.7 for the first sector. So about 0.3 off what we saw Burton do, but the car looks very, very controlled, which is a big thing going for Hobbo at the moment.
Yeah, looks like it was slightly unstable through Reed Park, but he got it under control nicely. He's taken a nice tight line over Skyline into the S's, nearly hitting the wall. Brenton Hobson doing everything that he needs to do on this lap. It's looking very fast. Another tight
middle
entry.
sector. So this is about the same pace as Sam Blacklock, a little bit quicker maybe. Maybe 2:03.8 or 9 at the current pace. We'll see what he can do down Conrod Straight though and into the chase. These 2-3 corners coming up are probably the most crucial corners in regards to how your lap time plays out. So simple that I think the flat out corner is 287 before he's on the brakes.
Yep, very aggressive over the curbs at the chase.
I think this lap may be very close to Jake Burton's time because this end of this lap has looked very, very good. Through Murray's corner, crosses the line. It's a 2:04.2, I think.
Yep, so looks like he may have lost a bit of time in Murray's corner.
Yep.
I did look and see that he pushed it a little too hard past the apex, had to get on the brakes a little bit more, but still, another great time from Brenton Hobson. Only 0.2 off Sam Blacklock. Around a 2-minute lap like Bathurst, that's worth something.
Now, I'm not a fan, but I love this livery at the same time. It's a livery that you love to hate, and I don't know. It's grown on me since I've seen it over the last few days. A throwback to, as Jake Maloney would call him, the great man, Paul Morris.
Ugh.
Australia's biggest Paul Morris fan is Jake Maloney. The driver who has won the Bathurst 1000, Maloney, with a throwback to the livery from 2005, I'm fairly sure, from memory. And I must say, well done to Andrew Osire and Curse Designs. Made this livery look amazing with the old school styling of the logos to go with it.
And he's even got the orange rims to go with it, just to make it that much more authentic.
He actually sent me the code for the wheels for the graphics that we've got for tomorrow, so to make sure I had it absolutely perfect. As I said, he's the biggest Paul Morris fan you'll ever see, and Maloney, the only driver to complete every single lap in V8SCOPS 2017, starts this flying lap.
Yep, and it definitely shows in the drivers' standings as well. Jake Maloney all the way up there, almost fighting for the championship lead with the amount of laps that he's completed. Again, every single one of them, finished every race.
Yep, the consistency's paid off. He's in second in the championship, and depending on how this race plays out, if he can finish every lap, you pretty much guarantee yourself a top 10 finish the way that these races have played out previous. Coming through the cutting, looking very smooth, very controlled, with just the right levels of commitment. 46.5, so about a 10th off Burton.
Yep, this is looking butter smooth this lap. The car doesn't look like it's squirming at all.
Oh,
That's a thing that I've noticed with just about every lap so far. The cars look slightly unsettled in certain places, not so for Maloney.
he's got it nice and controlled, very, very hooked up, coming down the mount. Looking very, very smooth.
Almost taking a straight line straight to the apex of the dipper.
29.9 through the middle sector, so pretty quick there. So not far off the lap from Jake Burton. The TTL cars are very quick in a straight line too, so it'll be interesting to see if any time can be gained down Conrod Straight.
Up into 6th gear. 275, 280. It's 27.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful turn in through
Wonderful.
the chase. Great exit through the second part as well. This looks very, very smooth at the end. Will he be able to pip Jake Burton? Oh, a little bit of a lock-up, but he's still got the apex. Crosses the line. It's a 2:03.9. He'll slot into second position. And finishes 3/10 exactly behind Jake Burton. Pretty good lap there from Jake Maloney. Great job.
Yep, very good lap from the number 29 car. We'll see how they do in the race tomorrow.
He and John Latham, as I said before, the only driver combination to have two drivers that have both won a Bathurst 1000. These guys we know will be contenders because they've done it before.
Yes, indeed.
Then the next car on the track, Ethan Griggoult, teaming with Ian Ford. Very accomplished drivers in V8 SCOPS. They've both been very competitive. Ford third in the championship. Ethan Griggoult, I believe, is sixth in the championship from memory. I probably got that wrong. I'm ready to be flamed once again.
You always predict that you're going to get flamed, Jay, but you never do.
I know, if I say that, then they go harsh on me. It's good. I've learnt that lesson. I say I'm prepared for it. Like, well, there's no point worrying about it because he's ready for me.
Yeah. You're putting up a wall. If I say they're going to do it, then they can't hurt me.
Right. Exactly right.
Ethan Griggoult comes around to start his hot lap in the shootout. A nice line through Murray's to start it off. Of course, Ethan, a relatively new signing to Evolution Racing Team. He's been a driver for SDC Motorsports for much of his sim racing career, but moved to ERT at the start of the season.
That was actually quite wide out of California by the looks of it.
Well, we'll
Looks
see
like he's
how
got
he
pretty
goes.
good pace though.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes at the first sector line. Now, we'll see if the problem at Griffin's repeats itself for the ERT cars. Doesn't look like
looks much
it's too
smoother.
bad.
Yep.
Yes.
The best line we've seen through Griffin's Bend for any of the ERT cars tonight. A little bit of a front lock-up, and the car just didn't want to turn the point of entry into the cutting, but it still looked pretty smooth, and that's a quick first sector, 46.2. That is the quickest first sector we've seen tonight.
Yes. Oh, this is exciting. Ethan over the top. Looking very good, just getting the car pitched in for McPhillamy. He doesn't run too wide. Hitting the limiter in fourth gear, and then down through the gears, all the way up at 7,500 through the dipper. That looked like a great exit. Down into first gear for Forest Elbow to get it turned in, and then up into second, third, and then fourth.
29.9 for the middle sector, so a tenth off the pace of Burton, but it was 2/10 up through the first sector, so net around about a tenth up on Jake Burton. What will this do? Will we see a 23.5? Full commitment through the chase, 286, hard on the brakes at the 150 sign, and through the chase, looking very good. Just clipped the apex. Quite nice and controlled.
Yep, didn't hop over the curb like most others do at the apex of the chase. Let's see how he goes through Murray's. Beautiful line. Ethan Griggoult crossing the line. What time is this going to be?
2:35.
6:45.
Oh, just pips Burton by 4 hundredths of a second, 44 thousandths.
Wow. So, once again, very competitive all throughout this field.
Of course, the last
So
5 drivers we're seeing too. 5 different teams in this last 5 guys. So, really mixed up field for the end of this shootout. Sorry, Rex.
No worries. The next car to start a hot lap is going to be number 85, Performance Sim Sport Chassis 1. Marlon McMullen will be joining Forzan El Nabi in that car tomorrow, but El Nabi is taking control of the car for this hot lap. And Forzan, ever since he first came onto the V8 SCOPS scene last year, he's certainly been one to watch.
Definitely pushing for potential to become a contender over the next little while. A driver that starting to evolve and become more of a top-level driver than we've seen previous. So Forzan definitely one to watch. Marlon McMullen's a podium winner, or podium getter in this race. So this will be a very strong pairing as El Nabi starts this flying lap.
Yep, ran a little bit wide in Murray's to start the lap, but that's fine. It's only a short blast to Hell Corner. Looks like a nice clean line through there to start off.
Yeah, very, very controlled. Not putting too much pressure on the car going through Hell Corner. Looked very smooth. A little bit down on pace though, going down the straight. So the Performance Sim Sport cars suited more to turn than outright speed. Where will this go on the timesheets? Looking pretty good through the first part of the lap.
Yeah, it's looking super controlled through the cutting. I think you're right, Jay. This thing's set up for the corners first and foremost. El Nabi's looking very comfortable with that car up across the top here.
46.6 for the first sector, so about the same pace we've seen from Myers, and also 248, that's McMillan. So those guys ran about the same pace as we're seeing for the first sector from El Nabi, but this sector here is what's going to make El Nabi's potential qualifying run look very good down the mountain. 29.9, so pretty good middle sector.
Yeah, for sure, and he's really gotten that thing on point for Forest Elbow. Look at him go down the straight, so he's gotten exactly the exit that he needs onto Conrod.
See what speed he can get down the chase, or through the chase, over that awesome little rise, and using all of the run off to the side. 286, so pretty quick. Equal quickest we've seen coming into the chase. Just clips the curb and a nice bounce off it. Performance Sim Sport number 85 down the hill under the bridge. What time will this be? Oh, a little bit of a lockup. Just manages to pull it up in time. And he crosses the line. It's going to be a 204.0. What's in just behind Maloney, just ahead of Sam Blacklock.
Another excellent lap. It's looking like that area around the high 203s, low 204s is the most competitive in this session so far.
It's looking very tight there from Maloney back to Brady Myers is 17 hundredths of a second. Between third and seventh. So very, very tight in that gap at the moment. A little bit of discussion going on in the chat about whether we will see a 202 from the absolute freaks of nature. This is one guy that could potentially do it. We'll confirm that he had been sandbagging his best time in pre-qual to ensure that no one knew his true pace. So this is a real dark horse, a guy that could potentially shoot up the timesheets. Qualified in third. Didn't do too many laps after that. Still may not show his true speed until this lap.
Yeah, Dane Warren, he's got some history behind him. Remember, he got pole at Sebring earlier in the season, so he's got a bit of history behind him here. See if he can make good on that here at Bathurst. All-Star Motorsports number 57 crossing the line. And that car's looking beautiful.
Yeah, that looked good.
Through Hell
That looked
Corner.
good. Let's use the curb quite nicely, and then use the exit curb as well. Almost cut the corner to drag it around the corner through Hell. So looking pretty good for the first part of the lap, but there's so many components to get this lap right. A little bit slow in regards to top speed down Mountain Straight, 252, but you can tell from the way that that car turned through turn one, it's not set up for speed. It's set up to make sure it can do the top of this mountain very, very nice.
Yeah, very similar to the Performance Sim Sport car and the other ASM cars. We saw on the other All-Star cars that there's a very aggressive front end on them, but it looks like Dane Warren has managed to make that work for him nicely. That car looks beautifully balanced as it's coming across the top through Solman.
Equal quickest, fastest time in the first sector with Ethan Grigalt, so very, very committed for the first
Into
portion of
fifth
this
here
lap.
across the top.
Wow, this is quick. He's absolutely throwing everything into this lap. Said Ethan Warren, he'd been hiding his true pace from all the drivers. 29.7 in the middle sector. That's the quickest we've
Whoa.
seen.
All right, so how's he going to go?
Readout on the dash won't tell him that, that's for sure, but he'll definitely be hoping it does.
See what top speed he can get, but it's not really going to matter. I'm going to predict this lap as it stands right now is going to be a 2:03.2. But we'll see. Down at Conrod Straight, coming into the chase. On the limiter.
Wow.
On the limiter in 6th gear, coming through the kink in the chase.
That's unbelievable.
Absolute commitment levels to the maximum here for the All-Star Motorsports 57. Dane Warren comes through Murray's Corner. What time will this be?
Low 203.
2:03.2.
Yeah, 203.3. Goes to the top by
Great
3
lap.
tenths.
Great
That was
lap
the
from
best
Dane Warren.
lap I've seen at Bathurst in quite some time.
That was
Real or
an
virtual.
absolutely amazing lap. Well done, Dane Warren. If you somehow don't get pole position from that, the next 2 laps are going to be amazing.
Indeed they are. It's actually the quickest qualifying lap on the world record sheet by the looks of it as well, by 2 tenths.
That's quick.
Wow.
Quick lap. But we've got 2 of the quickest drivers in the iRacing V8 Supercar still to come. Number 92, Josh Rogers at the wheel, anticipating in only his 2nd Bathurst 1000. Here we go.
Yeah, and Rogers, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on him here, but he's proved in the past that the pressure doesn't really get to him.
One of the most cool characters you'll ever talk to. He's just so relaxed, nothing gets to him. Just jumps in and he's quick in pretty much any car you can chuck him into. Got one of the most accomplished co-drivers in the field, Richard Hampstead. This combination will be disappointed in any result other than P1 this weekend. Here we go. This will be a great lap. Cannot wait. Here we go.
Josh Rogers in the 92 on the throttle out of Murray's Corner. The second last driver to start a lap in this shootout session. Let's see what he can do in that hyperstimulator TTL Esports machine. Nice line through Hell Corner, straight on the throttle out onto Mountain Straight.
That looked very, very good. Commitment levels were visible from the start of the lap. This is going to be 1st or 15th, one or the other, no in-betweens.
Nice wide turn in there for Griffins, and he's kept it nice and clean. Just a little bit of a wiggle on the exit, but he's managed to make the camber of the turn work for him.
Coming up to the first sector split checkpoint, 46.2. The target time to beat. Hit the marker now, 46.1, so he's up a 10th.
And it's across this section of the circuit where that much and more can be gained and lost. He bounces off the curb. Nice turn into McPhillamy, running across the curb there on the inside. How is he going to go through the S's? Bouncing it off the limiter down on the brakes. Revving the hell out of that engine.
It's commitment to the maximum. He's touched
29.6.
Oh, what?
Well,
That's the quickest middle sector by a 10th. We are on for a 2:02 here.
the lap of the gods. We're about to witness it, I reckon, for iRacing.
This
Wow.
has been amazing so far. See what speed Rogers can get up to coming into the chase. 287's the
see-
fastest.
And did you see him at the exit of Forest Elbow? Nearly clipping the
287.
wall when he exit. Yep, 287 for Josh Rogers coming through the chase. Bounces it off the curb. Just avoiding the off track. This has been an excellent
what a
lap
lap.
from Rogers so far. The best lap we've seen all night. The shootout session has saved the best for almost last. Josh Rogers, what's the time going to be?
203 flat.
203.0.
203 flat. What a lap from Josh Rogers.
Wow.
Wow.
Excellent stuff for him to gain that much time again over Dane Warren. Just incredible.
Absolutely. And now there is only one driver who can possibly pip that time, and that is Jared Filso, is currently on his outlap. Is this going to possibly be a 202. Nothing else will beat a 203 flat apart from a 202.
Yeah, and you got to remember, Jared, Phil Sell is your championship leader, so he is going to want to do everything in his power to try and stay on top, do everything he can to try and keep that championship lead. And if that means starting from first on race day, well, he's going to do everything he can to do it. That's one way to cool your tyres, Jared.
SVG model of cooling down the tyres by running on the grass through the chase. We are about to get our final shootout lap underway. Full commitment here from Jared Filsell. First or 15th it will be on this run. He will leave absolutely nothing else but what this lap can bring. Who knows? We'll find out in the next 2 minutes.
We certainly will, and I noticed on the run down to Murray's Corners, he was keeping the brakes on while being on the throttle, dragging the brakes just to get some more heat into those brakes.
That
So
looked very good out of Hell Corner there.
once again, Jared Filsell doing everything possible to try and get a leg up on his opponents. But we won't see if any of this works until the first sector line. How's he going to go through Griffins? Looking calm and controlled, a little wide in the second part of the corner.
I didn't want to turn through the mid-corner, but he managed to do a great job of maintaining speed, getting power down. But straight ahead towards the wall, but did a great job to get it through. Griffin's nice through the cutting. And 46.1, identical first split. 6/1000ths of a second slower than Josh Rogers through the first sector. Absolutely nothing in it.
Yep, 100% commitment from Phil Sell, and then some across the top. Running across the curb. Oh, he almost turned in a bit too early for the S's there. Almost hit the wall. He had to wind out of it slightly, but he's kept it going nicely.
Or 29.7, so a 10th off. Josh Rogers through the middle sector. He needs to gain some time through this final corner. 2:03.0 is the target time, and that did look very, very good. We'll see if he can beat the 2:87 through the kink at Conrod that we saw from Rogers.
Keeping an eye on Jared's top speed indicator.
2:86.
Bouncing it off the limiter down through the chase.
Pulled it up
A little
very
bit of a
nicely.
steer.
Yep. Still looks pretty controlled. We'll see if he can do a 2:02. Will he be able to do it? Or will he slot in behind? About to cross the line. Oh, it's going to be close. It's close.
2:16.
Oh my god!
Oh my.
16 thousandths of a second over 6,213 meters of racetrack. V8SCOPS, everybody!
Wow.
What a lap. What a session.
2:03.016 versus a 2:03.0. Wow. What
Unbelievable.
a lap.
Crazy. Crazy,
We've just
crazy,
seen-
crazy, crazy.
We've just seen the 3 best laps of Bathurst I think we've ever seen. Wow.
And we've broken the world record about 3 times as well in the process.
Oh my god, what a brilliant session this was. And Jared Filsell ends it in style by walling it out of the cutting.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. We'll run through the official results because actually amazing how close this is. But the Hyper Simulator TTL Esports number 92, 2:03.001, 16 hundredths of a second ahead. 16 thousandths of a second, I should say, ahead of Jared Filsell, Sean Kelly. That'll be the front row of the grid for tomorrow's race. Dane Warren, a great lap from him, 2:03.3. Any other day that would be pole by a good amount of time. So a great lap from him. He'll start third. Ethan Griggold, Ian Ford in fourth. TTR number 1, Madison Down, Jake Burton. Great lap from Jake. Was on the top of the timesheets for a little while. He's starting from 5th. Jake Maloney, John Latham 6th. Bozan Al-Nami, Marlon McMullen in 7th. Kurt Stenberg, Stan Blacklock. Good jump for those guys. They'll start from 8th. Then 9th will be the number 89 Synergy Sim Racing car, Wayne Burke and Dean O'Brien, Gene Fitties, and Brady Myers. A good job from Brady in that session. They've jumped a few spots as well. They started 15th. That's the first car out. They're in 10th.
Yep, Synergy Sim Racing won. That's Brenton Hobson and David Moore starting from 11th place. Riley Blythe and Ryan O'Sullivan are going to start number 67 from 12th place tomorrow. All-Star Motorsports number 248. Thomas McMillan running a 2045 for that car to start in 13th place. And the last car to set a time is Lee Ellis in the Fuel Auto Tech TTR number 18 car. Him and Michael Healy will start from 14th, and All-Star Motorsports 313. Unfortunately, Ethan Warren was not able to complete a valid lap time, so they are going to start 15th. But nonetheless, that is an achievement in and of itself. Good job from those guys. So that's tonight's events done. But in about 14 hours' time, we're going to go racing once again.
Yep, cannot wait. We'll have coverage from 11:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So, got to convert that. GMT, it is 23:30, so 30 p.m. in 01:30 GMT. I don't know. Go and work it out. It's 11:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Saving and Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can work it out from there. We'll be live.
Yep.
And we'll have EMR Super Cup tomorrow as well. And then the big one, all 161 laps of the Bathurst 1000. It's going to be a fantastic day tomorrow.
Certainly is. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too, Jay, and you as well, Cam.
Yes, definitely am. It's going to be one heck of a race.
Well, we hope that you join us for that as well. Thank you very much to Hyperstimulator for their sponsorship of the Endurance Cup, this marquee part of the V8SCOPS season. And thank you, everyone, for watching and commenting in the broadcast chat. I noticed when Phil Cell crossed the line, the chat went absolutely crazy. That was awesome to see. So thank you very much for joining us. And once again, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and visit us on www.v8sonline.com for all the latest goss in the Australian and New Zealand iRacing community. Thank you very much for joining us once again. My name is Reese Gardner. Joining me has been Jay Kennedy and Cameron Dance. We'll see you tomorrow for the Bathurst 1000 here on V8s Online. Catch you then.
Nestled in vast, picturesque country New South Wales, right next to the big town of Bathurst, to many motorsport fans, Mount Panorama needs no introduction. It is the Australian racetrack, the place where people plan pilgrimages, the Southern Hemisphere's answer to Spa, Suzuka, and the Nürburgring, all in one insane piece of road. It is fast, it follows the terrain, and walls are close at all times. Only the best triumph here, both in real life and in sim racing. Mount Panorama is subject to more waxing lyrical and commentary cliches than any other track in Australia, but suffice to say that that is not without very good reason. Like many of the tracks we visit for the V8 Supercar Online Premiere Series, Bathurst's history of motorsport goes much further back than is immediately apparent. There has been motor racing activity in the area surrounding Bathurst since the start of the 20th century. The first circuit used in the region was the Peel Circuit in 1906, connecting the towns of Peel, Clear Creek and Kelso. The second was the Yetholm Circuit, a triangular loop around the localities of Kirkconnell, Meadow Flat and Sunny Corner. This track entered use in 1914 as the host of the first Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix. The third was the Mount Horrible or Sunny Corner Circuit in 1926, which combined parts of the former tracks and extended all the way up to Palmer's Oakey to create a massive 100-kilometre loop. And finally, from 1931 to 1937, racing was held on the Vale Circuit, a track shooting through paddocks right next to the future site of Mount Panorama. Bathurst as we know it had its beginnings in the Vale Circuit period. The Mayor of Bathurst, Martin Griffin, wanted to create a permanent home for motor racing in the region, to construct the greatest circuit in the world. Unfortunately, Griffin had the problem of the world being in the midst of the Great Depression. The Australian government was not willing to commit funds to something like a motor racing circuit, so Griffin hatched another plan. He and the Bathurst Council approached the government with plans for an employment relief scheme, a tourist drive going up and down the Bald Hills. The economic benefits seemed obvious, and this plan got greenlit. But as the new Mount Panorama Scenic Drive was constructed, it was noted that it would make a very good motor racing circuit. How very convenient, Mr. Griffin. Well played. Mount Panorama Circuit hosted its first race in 1938 for motorcycles, and from then on, the track's fame only grew. After World War II, the circuit became the most popular motor racing venue in Australia. In 1963, it poached the Armstrong 500-mile race from Phillip Island, which, come 1973, was extended to 1,000 kilometres. As the Bathurst 1000 was born, the legend continued to build, and many of the most famous moments in Australian motorsport history took place here. It was also at Bathurst that Australia's Ford versus Holden rivalry was truly established, as regulations and series evolved with the track. The 1987 Bathurst 1000 was selected as a round of that year's World Touring Car Championship, but changes had to be made to comply with the FIA's new rulings, which stated that they would not sanction races at circuits with straights longer than 2 kilometres. The Chase was constructed in response, but that remains the only layout change made to the circuit. Apart from this challenging diversion off Conrod Straight, Mount Panorama follows exactly the same route as it did when it opened. The history of this venue up to the present is so rich and storied that we would need the 6 hours it takes to run a Bathurst 1000 just to cover everything. Moffat, Brock, Bow, Richards, Johnson, Scaife, Lowndes, Whincup, Winterbottom, the list goes on. Suffice to say that Australian motorsport and world motorsport would not be the way it is without the presence of this venue. This track, this race, is one of the greatest spectacles and tests of skill and endurance that the motorsport world has to offer, real or virtual. And now, you get to watch 100 of Australian sim racing's best tackle it.